Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Eagle Point Community Development District Board of Supervisors meeting. Today is Thursday, September 4th, 2025. The time is 5:01 p.m. We will start with roll call. I'll start with supervisors down here at the end.
Chairperson Gagne.
Ronald, Agabi.
William Hathaway. And then we have myself, Rich McGrath with GMS. Okay, let's see here.
Yeah, Rich, this is Jer. I'm on the phone as well.
Great. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I was looking to see if that was your number. So we do have district counsel on the phone as well. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. First item on the agenda this evening is statement from the chairman. So I'll go ahead and turn that over to Kevin.
Good question. Do we have Leanne?
We do not.
And do we have Ron?
We do not.
Okay.
Well, no, Ron is here. Yep. Sorry, Ron, you there?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. So we got Ron. He's also a board supervisor. I just made you a co-host there, Ron. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Kevin?
Okay. It's going to be a bit, so bear with me. I'm going to walk you through some things that kind of starting with the time of GMS's resignation, which was at the last meeting. Some things that are concerning to me. They definitely cast some doubt as to how we can move forward as a board effectively. It's unfortunate that Leanne's not here to hear, because my intent in doing so is to establish a conversation with the board in a way that we can't do outside of this forum. I'll start with saying the resignation took us all by surprise. You could see that if you were there at the last meeting. There wasn't a lot of detail provided to us as to why the resignations occurred, but we did get that we were overly demanding as a board and community, and when we were high maintenance. These things were quite unexpected for me to hear, to be honest. For the record, these concerns were never raised by GMS the entire time they were employed by us. They weren't raised in the board either, at any board meeting. There was an opportunity just a week prior to the last meeting when I expressed concern that too many items were falling through the cracks. And I suggested that we develop a better system for tracking these issues. That would have been a great moment for GMS to voice their concerns, yet they did not. I have been a professional engineer for nearly 30 years with the same company, the top 10 global engineering firm. The reputation and success that I've built over that time are not the result of being overly demanding or unprofessional in my job. They're the result of knowing how to communicate clearly, set expectations, ensure accountability, and pay close attention to detail. The only time GMS did approach us was with a request for additional budget support to handle the considerable workload that they were experiencing, helping us document amenity center violations. I vouched for the level of effort that I knew it took to take care of that, and the board unanimously approved those additional funds. So, as I mentioned, at the meeting, they resigned. At least GMS officially resigned. Thursday, August 7th, the day after the meeting, they sent their resignation letter. I felt, upon reading the resignation letter, that this notion again of unreasonable expectations and us being a high maintenance group needed to be addressed. So I crafted a reply to Keith Nelson of GMS, and I also shared in our private community Facebook group a post informing the residents that we received a letter of resignation. And I also posted what essentially was my rebuttal about these unreasonable high expectations that we were setting. So I shared that on Facebook, and I also sent it directly to Keith Nelson of GMS. On August 8th, I decided to make an additional follow-up post on the Facebook page. The issue was eating me that somehow we were unreasonable in what expectations we had of this company and the vendors that work for them and work for us. So because of that very next day, the issue of the irrigation break over at the entrance of Breakers was hitting me in the face again. An upset resident, people continuing to ask. This was one of the things that I had reached out to GMS the week before the meeting and asked for an update. I decided to put together what I call the irrigation issue example and timeline, and I shared that on Facebook. It was the bottom line of that particular situation is that I had noticed on Facebook the broken irrigation line pumping water into the air. Within 15 minutes, I had notified GMS and called county. 15 minutes of seeing it on Facebook. It was the next day that GMS acknowledged they received my inquiry. And it wasn't until the day after the resignation meeting that I heard the next thing about it. And that next thing was it hadn't been addressed yet. You know, they didn't confuse as to what I was talking about. So I posted that timeline, essentially the day, Thursday after the resignation, and I also sent that to GMS. I said, here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about and why we're not being unreasonable here. And the fact is that this is still an issue that's not addressed. I then I had some additional correspondence with GMS about the irrigation issue, and I shared that as well. Around 5:30 p.m. that day, August 8th, we received a letter from attorney from Kutak Rock, Gia Earlywine. He was our district counsel, and he sent his letter of resignation. His letter of resignation was a little odd to me in a sense, struck me as unusual. Rather than being a professional letter of resignation that would appear as being an independent decision from a completely separate vendor, it seemed more like a coordinated effort with GMS. He spent most of his letter criticizing again and reiterating some of the criticisms that GMS had made. And yet at no time during the entire employ of our attorney had he raised concerns about unsatisfactory board, client relations, anything to that effect. So I have this letter, I get it around 5:30 p.m. and even prepared to how I was going to address or whether I was going to respond to it at all. Within 15 minutes, there is a Facebook post by Rebecca Hathaway. It opens with, I'm posting this on behalf of William Hathaway, Eagle Pointe CDD Supervisor Seat 1. It includes Gier's resignation letter, copied and pasted, with no additional context or additional information, despite the fact that Gier's very first statement in his email says, I've been following some of the discussion below and thought it might be worth a brief comment on my part. Well, all of the discussion below included my emails that I had sent about this particular irrigation issue, including follow-up concerns with GMS that were just between us directly, saying the very fact that this irrigation main that feeds our community has been off for a month. I want you to work with our landscaper and find out what landscaping in this community is downstream of that main. What has not been getting water for a month? And then we will need to determine whether or not there's been damage to that because landscaping is very expensive to replace. So that was the kind of context that I posted in a Facebook post on August 9th. I basically said, Dear Eagle Point community, and I decided to share that context, the context that was missing in Rebecca Hathaway's post. So I included in my post a PDF. I included GMS's resignation letter. These are all my correspondences in order. My reply to GMS, the irrigation case email, GMS's reply to my irrigation case, which also continued to say that the response was, adequate. And then also my email to Garrett, Dubois about that particular issue. On that, by the way, that has been considered resolved. And GMS has emailed to me saying that the 20+ day turnaround was adequate, not acknowledging my concern that not necessarily that it was inadequate, but that there was no communication to me from the time they acknowledged receipt of my concern till the day after the resignation. That is my problem, the communication. So that was, they actually responded, said that the timing been fixed, it's fixed adequately. They provided a timeline of all the things that occurred during that time. They didn't get back on anything, as if that somehow satisfied the concern for lack of coordination and correspondence. And then essentially at the end of that message said that I should consider tracking my statements about their responsiveness on that. So later that day, on August 9th, after I posted that initial context in the action emails, unredacted, just the information, the CDD board gets an email from a non-board member, a resident, James Casement. The email goes to the board, to the GMS, and the attorney. James Casement's email, subject, vendor resignations and the need for board action. There's a formal letter blaming the departures of the vendors on finding Kevin Gagne and Ronald. The letter includes both uninformed and demonstrably false statements about me and the board actions. It included several regarding amenity center security efforts. The bizarre thing about his comments was most of them, when you actually know the facts or read detailed information I put out there, you find out that he's got his timelines crossed, he's got completely false information, and he even went so far as to say some things that literally hadn't been made up, like that me, Kevin Gagne, threatened to sue the attorney. Those kinds of allegations I find really concerning, especially when there's absolutely zero basis in fact. So he shared if you're part of the Facebook group, maybe privy to that particular letter, because he indicated to the board and everyone that he sent it to that he was also going to follow up with a Facebook post. So he shared that exactly on Facebook. August 11th. After reading Mr. Casement's uninformed commentary about the efforts that we've made as a board to restore control to the amenity center by holding people accountable for activity that is inappropriate and ruining the experience for the entire community, I decided that there may be some people that have not been around long enough to know what needs to happen there, and what efforts we've done and taken to remedy that situation. So I prepared what I call the Amenity Center, or the Amenity Safety and Enforcement, a case study in community management. And I put together a long detailed write-up using one particular issue as a case study. It again rebuts some of the claims about unreasonable board expectations, but not in a way that I had formally made public. I had expressed concerns to GMS at times about the accuracy of the reporting of issues here, because I thought it was critical if we were going to be having violation hearings and trying to hold people accountable, and the rest of the board would not have seen or heard any of the details, because it was me as a volunteer that was reviewing all the footage and preparing these sort of origin reports that GMS would then formalize. I wanted to make sure that every detail that was found that was of serious safety concern or liability concern to the board was documented appropriately so the rest of the board could see it. So you may have seen that particular thing that I wrote. It was done really, to, again, defend, us as a group, the board, that has been working together and essentially has been, almost unanimously voting for things since I've been involved with it. So, and I also did it because, in Casement's letter, he wrote that I rejected GMS and council's recommendations when it came to, the amenity center violations. And again, that's patently false. Every one of these board members that was here during the violation hearings knows what, Bennett said, with regard to recommendations, whether we could or could not impose penalties, what level of penalties, whether we could impose a maximum penalty in the cases that we did, which were the cases of most extreme repetitive violations and behavior here. So the fact that he wrote that I ignored the recommendations is, again, demonstrably false, uninformed, not uncharacteristic of the way the gentleman has been posting about me on Facebook for quite some time. So I shared that on August 11th. And generally speaking, people that knew what happened out there, the general response was very positive. People realized the changes that have happened there. They were thoughtful enough to read the details that were written and without any sort of agendas, they just objectively were appreciative of that effort. So next day is August 12th. We get an email from GMS providing the resignation letter from the landscaper. As soon as I got that myself, I called the landscaper directly. Had a conversation with him. Well, I wasn't aware of what the issue was. His letter was the first time anyone, GMS attorney, anyone would actually say something specific about why they were. It wasn't really specific either, but they generally said something, said nothing. So I called them. I said, we have to figure out a way to move forward. We have to get another escaper. We can't just stop. Contract was no longer anyway. Then I called GMS and left a message with the intention of setting up a meeting in the coming days to also talk about landscaping issue and figure out how to move forward. At 2:22 that day, so about 2 hours after I got the email with the landscaper resigning, an email goes out to the board and our attorney and GMS from Jim Casement. The subject of it, executive summary, immediate legal and governance concerns. His email alleges that my August 11th Facebook post, the one of the amenity center case study, may violate, I think there were 6 laws that I had broken with that post, may violate sunshine law, resident privacy, defamation law, and constitutional rights. Because I finally was fed up with the nonsense from this guy on a private Facebook page, to which I posted only as benefit to the residents, not as an official channel of the CDD board, I decided I had enough. Because every time I post something with factual information, it's ignored and the person continues with the attacks on the agenda. So I blocked him. Hence his concern that I was violating his First Amendment rights. He requested that District Council review and provide recommendations how we as a board move forward. Needless to say, I had a meeting with District Council and GMS, and they reviewed the information and saw no reason to reply. Here's the great part of this one, though. My favorite. James's email included a PDF. So his email was an executive summary. He concluded the PDF with a formal letter breaking down all of these issues and potential legal concerns and unethical behavior on my behalf. He also included as evidence Facebook screenshots of all of my Facebook posts about the Amenity Center case study. What he must not have realized was that he forgot to crop out Rebecca Hathaway's face on the screenshots. So Rebecca Hathaway fed James Casement Facebook screenshots. For what motive, I don't know.
Because you're violating sunshine law by putting shit on
Ma'am.
it. No,
Sorry,
no.
we'll let him finish. We'll get to supervisor comments. And, sorry, ma'am. Please.
Help me. Store order, thank you.
I hope you're gonna give me more than 3 minutes to reply to this 20-minute argument.
It'll be 3 minutes for all audience members once we get to audience comments specific to the agenda.
Yes.
Thank you. On August 14th, there was another Facebook post from James Casement. He shared the letter of resignation from our landscape vendor. This was 2 days after it was sent to the board members. And of course, it posed more attacks, more allegations
Why
about.
don't you tell them
Sir,
how'd you see it?
sir,
How'd you see it?
sir, please, this is not, look, there's a decorum that is conducted with these meetings. Please hold your comments.
Yeah.
Ma'am, look, we are not gonna go back and forth and do this right now, okay? There's a decorum to this. You will have an opportunity at the audience comments for 3 minutes to speak to agenda items. Okay.
Yeah.
So we will,
Excuse me, no one has the floor except the chair. I set the agenda. This is the only time that I get to speak to the rest of the board about issues that are happening. And this is what's happening. I would appreciate it if the audience would continue to let them speak until their time is provided. On August 14th, we had another Facebook post from James Casement.
What does any of this have to do with
Sir.
resignation?
sir, please,
This is like a defensive.
sir,
It shared the letter of resignation from the landscape vendor 2 days after it was sent to board members. Only people that had the letter were board members, the GMS, and the attorney. And like I said, more attacks on the board members. A resident spoke to James, asked him how he got that letter so quickly, because they specifically had a FOIA request out there that had been out for a week and a half, and hadn't got a letter yet. From GMS, hadn't got a FOIA request filled. And James said he was not able to for the other sources. Rabah, were you the source that provided Rebecca Hathaway with, with the,
Letter?
yeah,
I didn't have a letter.
Ron, are you on, Ron?
he is on.
Ron, and Leanne's not correct.
Correct.
Ron,
Leanne actually resigned. She sent a resignation letter before the meeting.
okay,
Like, right.
I'm on, Kevin.
Ron, did you provide, the landscaper's resignation letter?
No, I did not.
No. And, William, you'll have a chance to speak, I'm just asking you here, no question. Did you provide the landscaper's resignation letter?
Yes,
I did.
Yeah, I'm about to get all the emails.
Ma'am. Okay, Jared, at this point, if we're gonna continue down this road, we may need to either continue and or, you know, I don't know about the decorum aspect of it when it crosses that line, but if you could advise the audience and the board.
Well, so we do have rules of procedure and also of decorum, guys, and I think, you know, Kevin is the chair. He's got the right to speak right now, and I know you guys are all trying to figure out how to navigate things going forward, and it's kind of a hard time. That said, I would let Kevin speak if you all would allow him. if we continue to get audience interruptions, and I know the audience also has their own views and wants to be heard too, but if you all could hold your comments until the time is for you all to speak, we'd really appreciate it. The reason being, if it continues to be disruptive, we're going to basically have to, reschedule the meeting to another time, or call the police, right? So that's not what we want. And you will have a chance to speak. So if you guys could kind of bear with us a little bit, let Kevin get through what he'd like to say. I know it's kind of like Kevin said, this is his opportunity to speak. I know the other board supervisors are going to want to speak as well. And it's good to talk about what maybe has gone wrong and how y'all can proceed going forward. So let's try to make it productive and positive.
Thank you, Jared.
Can I continue?
Yes.
On August 16th, Rebecca Hathaway filed a Freedom of Information Act request to GMS. I was informed by GMS of this particular request just this past week.
If your wife told everybody.
Ma'am.
Shut the fuck up. We want to get through this. You go home. I don't want your. Well, then you shut the fuck up.
Guys, okay, this is not
Hey, guys,
how
yeah,
we conduct this business here.
Yeah, it's not good. You know what I would do, Rich? Guys, y'all are trying to move forward. You got some proposals that really need to be considered today to keep the district moving in the right direction. But you can't have foul language at the meetings. You can't interrupt the chair. And we're gonna have to call the police and have you removed, which I'm sure you don't want. And I know you've got your own feelings about it and you want to speak. You will have that chance. And we want to give you that ability. But you're gonna have to call recess and call the police, guys, if that's how the behavior is going to be.
Okay, I'll attempt to continue. So this Freedom of Information Act requested all emails to Kevin Gagne from November 7th, 2024 until the time of the request. All emails from Kevin Gagne from November 7th, 2024 until the time of the request. That in and of itself is close to 1,000. Very quick check. All emails to Rabah Agabi from November 7th, 2024. All emails from Rabah Agabi from November 7th. All Facebook posts and comments from me on the community group. Interestingly, a little side story regarding requesting emails. I was denied a request for an email some time ago, around Christmas last year. My wife was involved in planning trying to plan a community Christmas gathering. And I was having a regular phone conversation with GMS. And Rich said to me that, hey, someone expressed concern that you might approve an expense for a Christmas party without board approval. I said, what? Who? He said, I can't tell you. And I said, well then, let me see the email. He said, well, I'll have to talk to counsel about that. So they get back to me with Jared and say, I'm sorry, since the email expressing concern comes from another supervisor, we can't share it with you because it may violate sunshine laws. But eventually, I said I should still be able to know who made this concern, and they told me it was Leanne Hathaway. So I was denied a request for a single email because it came from another supervisor. Yet, a supervisor's wife is requesting thousands of emails from me and Mr. Agabi specifically. And it defies logic for me to believe that he was not going to see those emails, if he wasn't aware they were being requested, or there would be no conversation between the two of them about said emails. So I did raise my concerns in email response back today regarding this particular FOIA request. So this is just as of today, I received this additional information. GMS responded to Rebecca after her second follow-up and told her that this particular email request was going to cost $240 altogether. And honestly, I almost want to pay the $240 so she can have all the emails, because it's the biggest enough burger you'll ever see. But I'd rather risk it. What I found in the emails, GMS included me on a particular email, where I could see some email history. And I just thought it was interesting on her second follow-up, Rebecca Hathaway's second follow-up, requesting these records. I just thought I'd read it to you, because you wouldn't have it yet. So on September 3rd, this is regarding her records request for these thousands of emails. I'm again following up to obtain a status update for my public record request that I submitted on August 16, 2025. It's been 12 business days since I filed my request. And although the Public Records Act does not contain a specific time limit for compliance, a delay in making public records available is permissible under very limited circumstances, such as delay in the custodian producing records permitted and delete the exempt portions of those records. It appears that the delay is a result of the two supervisors in question, and the delay isn't a result of the district management company's failure to produce the records. The fact that two supervisors appear to be delaying producing the public records requested could constitute an unlawful refusal to provide access to public records. The first email I got about this records request was this past weekend. The records request went to GMS on the 16th. First thing I heard about it was a couple days ago. So I called them and said, "Can't you just provide what she's asking for?" They said, "You're supposed to do it because you have the emails." So I called them up and they said, "Look, I mean, I only have this thing on my phone. I can't send 1,000 emails. How am I going to do that? How much time is that going to take? What's going to, this is practical. Is there another way?" And so they said, and this was just today, we can work with the vendor. I can provide a password. They can go in, they can collect it all, but they would have to bill for their time. So that's why they responded with their concern. So I also responded. I'll just read my response in part, because it reiterates my concern about this particular what's happening here. Separately, I feel compelled to reiterate my concern regarding the propriety of this request. The request is being submitted not by a resident at large, but by the wife of the sitting supervisor. There is precedent for caution here, and I mentioned last year my wife was, so I mentioned how I was not given the emails, the one email, because it was from Leanne Hathaway. So I said, now we are facing a request from his wife for potentially hundreds or even thousands of my emails as chair and those of Vice Chair Agabi, as well as my social media posts on our community page. As I had mentioned in our prior meeting with Chair and GMS, there was already evidence that Ms. Hathaway has provided official CDD correspondence to a resident, James Casement, for the purpose of fueling his attack letters against the board. It strains credibility to believe that Ms. Hathaway will not share or discuss this with her husband. The situation is getting out of hand. While I fully support transparency, this appears to be an orchestrated effort by the Hathaways in coordination with Mr. Casement to undermine and discredit sitting supervisors through selective disclosure of public records. I urge GMS and Counsel to weigh these dynamics carefully as the request is processed to ensure that it's handled in compliance with both letter and spirit of the law. So in conclusion, I just want to say this is extremely frustrating. I have no personal aspirations or goals being met by serving on this board whatsoever. It's purely community service for me. All the extra things I've done, taking on the role, the extra effort in the amenity center, it's for the community. I have a clue. I've never spent a day here. Everything that happens, I could ignore and I would be perfectly content. That's a fact. So I have to ask, because I'm genuinely curious, all right? First, I want sitting board members, I'm gonna ask Mr. Agabi and then Ron to give their thoughts, and then finally turn to William to see what he has to say, but I am genuinely
Kevin.
curious.
Sorry, I just got, a message from one of the bidders from council saying that they had to drop off at 6. So I just want to bring that to the board's attention. If you know, it's 5:35, we can always come back to revisit this portion. But they would need to drop off at 6.
The lawyer has to go at 6.
Yeah. 5:35. We do have, I don't know if Appleton Reiss will need to jump off. I don't know if Nathan Yeager is here or if he's on Zoom. Don't see on Zoom, but
I don't know how I can continue with board
Okay.
business. We have a meeting in 2 weeks.
okay,
This needs to be hashed out and discussed, and I don't mean any disrespect to the vendor that's waiting. We certainly appreciate that they provided, their proposal, was obviously going to be, considered and discussed by the board. And again, we set up an emergency meeting in another 2 weeks, where if it's necessary, we can finalize that process.
okay.
I'm almost done, so I'm concluding, essentially. I'm genuinely curious why this is happening. I mean, is this like some kind of a hobby? It doesn't make any sense. We have voted the same way on every single vote that this board has taken up since I've been on it, with one exception that I can recall. The vote to hold a hearing to charge the HOA to use this room. I voted against that as the draw. The rest of the board, including William, voted to hold that hearing to charge the HOA to use this room. That's the only time we disagree on anything. Okay, so it's not like we're looking at a situation where you could see some motive for this activity. We've been a unified culture. Every single issue that some people have picked at us from, we have been united on voting for those things. So it's really hard, you know, to understand what the motive would be. I know it kind of, you know, based on the date of this request, and, you know, that whole Christmas thing, it dates back to when, Supervisor Gagne was elected to the board, and the chairmanship changed. One used to be the chair, and then I was made chair, and Rabah vice chair. Otherwise, I don't see the logic behind any of this. So I'm going to see what your thoughts are, Rabah, on this, and how we can do this. You know, how we can work moving forward while there's essentially forces on the board working behind the scenes to undermine the board as a group.
See, that's what bothers me, actually. I don't see why don't we talk about things the way you like meetings. I mean, all day, somebody can set my opinion, everybody has an opinion, you can talk about it, like, totally, like, we're going like to the back road. And that I don't like too, like, it seems like there's some information to do. Kind of would say use the word, because last meeting, we know that the management company is leaving. And, the same thing for a lawyer. But nobody talked about the landscaper. And then all of a sudden, they say, oh, that people are leaving. As important, nobody even know about it. So, yeah, that's an issue. I hope things will get better. If somebody has anything to say to the meeting, say to the meeting, that is what it is. Whether we like it or not, we're gonna find a way to work things.
Anything else?
No?
Good.
Yeah, that's it.
Ron, do you have anything to say?
Yes, thanks. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, yeah, a lot to take in, and just thinking, you know, I mean, I really want to take a moment to just say how much I support the board, specifically Kevin, and a lot of the things he does for the board. I mean, I know there's, just recently accusations being said and, specifically regarding, supplier relationships and stuff like that. But, I've reviewed some stuff. I'm in the meetings, I'm there, and I know the voting history. So I'm a little, I'll say quizzical myself, that I'm a little unclear of all the, I'll just say back and forth. I don't think, I feel a lot of this stuff doesn't have that much substance behind it. It doesn't really reflect the board's and how it operates. Like Kevin mentioned before, and I'll just piggyback on that. I think we've aligned on like 99.5% of the time on everything we vote on. To me, that's a pretty strong consensus. I mean, it's a shared commitment to what we're working on, and I think for everyone's best interest. I mean, it's a little bit of a concern when you have the management company and legal counsel and even the landscaper resign. I mean, that's all unfortunate. But from what I see, and listen, you could prove me wrong. I'm just saying what I see, that appears to be more reflective for what's best for their business, but not by any wrongdoing by any board member, whether it's anyone, not just Kevin in this instance here. I mean, the way also what I would say on it is, I think a lot of this is also spurring upon how those resignations happened. And they were totally within their rights, the legal counsel and the management company. But the way the resigning happened, it just goes to show that you don't know what the intentions were, the reasons why. And it kind of makes it feel like there was some kind of, wrongdoings that were just not being spoken of. So I can understand why people have some concerns, but I feel the board is very transparent. I mean, we're fiscally responsible. You can't do anything without, being approved, and everything is shown. I feel we do show ethical governance of how we conduct ourselves. As far as the community, I appreciate all the feedback, even when calling the board out to task on stuff. We're a community, everyone should be involved, and that's what it's really about is, everyone trying. You don't have to work together on everything, but at least having common goals and trying to understand everything that's happening for the community. But what I'll say today, and just hearing it, is what gets me is the board itself. I had no clue how divided the board, it seems, or certain members are, and all the ongoings behind the scenes. I would just say I'm a little bit taken back by that, especially how we all proceed in the meetings. So I'm not sure if this is actual, and this is just my thought, I'm not sure if it's actual performance-based or if it's something more personal. So I'll just let it go at that. But my closing is, I support what we're doing. I support Kevin and all his efforts. That doesn't mean I don't support other people as well in there, but I'm just calling him out for what he's going up against on this. But I also feel that, maybe this isn't really performance and more personal. That's my 2 cents on it. Thank you, everyone.
Before William.
There's nothing personal. So I don't know if each board member has taken their opportunity to independently try to communicate with GMS and communicate with the lawyer. I know since I was selected as the point of contact for the new seeking out a new management company, I had an opportunity to talk with both of them because, like some residents have pointed out, things just don't add up with how they resigned and what was said. And I understand that they wish to be professional in their responses, especially in writing. They do have their own businesses to continue with and other districts and vendors to work with. We turned over last year when we sought a new management company. We had 6 different companies in the state submitting.
submit interest. 4 showed up to buy for our business. 5 were supposed to, but the 5th one decided to cancel the night up. And until today, actually 3 something today, we had 1 company submit interest and submit a proposal. And at the final hour today, a second company submitted it. And pretty much we're limited in selection, we're limited in choices. The cost is going up. And it's not going up so that we get necessarily more service. I didn't look at the cost of the attorney that I put in comparison to what we currently pay for attorney service, but there was discussions, the management company was willing to be a little more open with that. They felt there was a hostile work environment created with interactions with Nick. They felt that employees were being inundated and not given opportunities to provide service. From the looks of it, over the year now that GMS has been our vendor, they have actually provided services above the scope of the contract. And I don't also fault GMS. So when it came time for the budget, or even before the budget, if they felt that they were providing us services over the contract, I believe that should have been formally presented to the board. And that the board understand the level of service we're getting, what that cost would be, and if we didn't want to continue that cost, what the service would be at whatever, at the price we're paying. We all know that amenity wise, we were getting an extreme amount of service and we had no amenity contract with it. So I do wish that they would have come to the whole board and said any issues that they had, got all of that out, made their position, and then the board and the management company could move forward. Similar was said with the attorney. There apparently was some things there from the attorney's perspective that they were not happy with, and that's what involved in their decision. Hence the reason why they put in their letter that we are only the second manager or second district in their 30 years that they have filed. So other homeowners had read into some of that information and had reached out to ask questions about it. As far as I'm aware, unless you can show me otherwise, anything that comes in, such as resignation letters, are public record. You had no problem putting GMS's resignation letter out there.
Correct, and I did it with only one difference. I did it to defend the actions of the board in which I served, and you did it to,
No, I did it for transparency. Here is their letter. Here is the information for everybody to read and make their own conclusion or ask their own questions. It's not for one side or the other. It's for, here is what they have provided. Here is their response. That was it. I don't have my own, I'm not on the Facebook group. I don't have anything to do with the Facebook group. I don't put any information out there. My interpretation of sunshine law is if you have information that you obtained from being on this board and you present that on social media, that's considered, I mean, how else did you get that information? It's considered board business. So as far as homeowners that have any issues with you or that don't, that I'm not concerned about. I'm concerned about the transparency of the board overall and getting all the information out there and I believe I was informed that there was more than one post between you and your wife saying, hey, if you want any of my emails, do a FOIA. So anybody has the right to do a Public Information Act.
I'm happy that they did.
I mean, I am my person, my wife is her, she can do what she wants, I don't control her. So,
She didn't expose for you. Apparently.
I'm not on
We're not-
Facebook.
Yeah, we're just.
So, I'm on there, I'm not on there for multiple reasons. I have no desire to be on there, I have no desire for all the cattiness and people bashing other people for no reason. When all somebody wants to do is present information, you know? So, you know, if you want to turn around and get on there and bash other homeowners just because they have an opinion, then, you know, sorry that you're that catty in your life, so, yeah, so, you know, my concerns are how we as a district move forward when we now have significant cost increases coming for whatever the issues were. GMS has their side, the attorney has their side. You and the landscaper, who unfortunately did not come tonight, actually hasn't come now for 2 meetings, has their opinion. You guys each have yours of the interactions, and you know, basically the truth lies somewhere in the middle, and we'll never get there.
When did the no. When we hired the landscapers, they asked us to not show up to the meetings and everything's gonna be okay.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I can care less whether they show up.
I'm not making it seem like something else.
But, well, no, my thing is if you're putting in a resignation and your contract says 9 days, but you're asking for 30, I would think you would come to the meeting to present your case as to why they want a reduced timeframe. So that is my view of that. Whether they come to report the progress of their work, you know, that's on them. I mean, we went.
No, because in the post, it says that they didn't come because they bulk, they were against to come, they don't want them to see us because we treated them bad. That's the link that was linked to the homeowner of the post there. Anyway, go.
So I see, you know, there's multiple aspects, multiple points of view of what's going on. And at the end of the day, you know, the idea is for the entire community to be represented and the entire community to benefit from the district and the district decisions. So, you know, raising the budget to account for reserves to now have to turn around and spend a good portion of that for potentially a new or I shouldn't say potentially. We don't know what the cost for a new landscape company is going to be, but we just went through the process a couple months ago and saw what we got. I mean, who knows what we'll get this time around, but you know, what we got for management contracts last year, you know, you can say inflation, but I don't consider $20,000+ in a year inflation, or just inflation. So I don't like the fact that we've now gotten to the point where we're having difficulty in getting vendors, and it's costing all of us more money for that. And that's the position, and that's the problem I have. So, you know, whether GMS says it's a conflict of, you know, of communication, my concern is what is the problem? And is it something that the board needs to address going forward? Because the last thing we need is to have more vendors that we either have problems with, and either they resign or we decide to fire them.
See, when you talk about GMS, you make it seem like we have a problem with the entire business. We didn't have a problem with the field manager, and we're aware about that.
But according to GMS, that is not the only problem. So
What, GMS didn't shed light?
And I fault them, that's why I said, I fault them that there should have been communication with the whole board earlier on so that way, you know, whether it's 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, hey, you know, we've gone this long with you guys, let's sit down and evaluate what's going on, where we're at, and look at how to move forward, outside of all of a sudden during the budget meeting saying, hey, you guys should add amenity service for the amount that we've done with the amenity.
Which it seems that those are no problem, but anyway, there's no point in keep circling about the same things. GMS are leaving, we have new proposals, this is what it is, it's what it is, we're gonna have to follow.
All right, so I like the fact that you get your time to talk, he gets his time to talk, and you wanna cut me off, so that's good. So, no, so let's move forward, I'm done.
Okay. So, appreciate everybody's opinions. With that, I think we need to move on here and get to audience comments. Again, this is specific to the agenda. Again, we do have a decorum to keep. Please keep that in mind. We do ask that you state your name and address for the record, and also limit your comments to 3 minutes. When you hear the alert, that will be your 3-minute mark. So please keep that in mind. Please keep it, again, the decorum for the meeting. And then after that, we will move into the core of the business. The board does have some decisions and some considerations to make tonight, and so we do need to get to that. So any audience members would like to make a comment specific to the agenda, please raise your hand, state your, and then we'll acknowledge you, state your name and address for the record. I'll start down here. Oh, we can start over here. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Jim Casement. I'm a resident of Legal Point, 8635 in David Ford. I'm here to address the issue of 3 vendors resigning. These vendors have not left due to their own shortcomings, but because of difficulties in how the board has been working. Reports and communication from sources have raised troubling issues, including restricting vendors from communicating with other approved points of contact, use of profane or hostile language for contractors, which wasn't addressed at all, demands and directives beyond contract scope, ignoring professional legal and management guidance, and issuing unilateral directives without collaboration. The loss of legal counsel, GMS, and the landscape contractors will disrupt operation, waste resources, and reduce service quality. If the underlying causes are not addressed, the same problem will occur with future vendors at the expense of every district resident. I reached out to all 5 board members with my letter. 2 responded, 3 did not reply at all. The lack of response is especially disappointing, particularly since I know at least one of these board members contacted other residents and spoke about these issues. This selective communication raises concerns about fairness and transparency in community engagement. To GMS and legal counsel, you guys aren't without fault. Both of you have been vague in your public reasons for firing us, but I know you have privately shared your real reasons, which were not included in your official resignation letters. By not being more forthcoming with this board, and more importantly, to this community, you've done a disservice to us. Although I've stated the reasons as I understand them, they should have come from you and not from me. I urge the board to do 3 things. 1, publicly acknowledge the seriousness of these resignations and the circumstances behind them. 2, establish respectful, professional communication protocol with vendors. And 3, commit to working collaboratively as a unified board, putting residents' interests first. And importantly, these steps should be taken before you hire any new vendors. Our community deserves stable leadership and professional relationships with vendors. I ask you to address these issues directly, transparently, and before bringing in new vendors. Finally, Kevin, I want to respond to you because I kind of anticipated this. And I said, if the board tries to minimize their action or deflect these issues, which is precisely what you did in your 35-minute statement. As far as having faults, the attorney brought up the issue of the $1,000 fine at the last meeting. Go listen to it. He brought it up, you discounted it, and so did you, Ben. The landscaper, it's funny, right? He's funny. Dan, don't interrupt me, don't
Folks,
speak.
we're right at the 3-minute mark.
I sent the letter to this board, you said you didn't know anything about the landscape. I'm
For
gonna,
the, just.
no,
For the
you can't
audience.
interrupt.
Just
You can't interrupt.
just to respond to that one statement for the audience.
He cannot interrupt.
I would suggest to again, you had like 10 seconds left.
No,
So,
deflecting blame does not solve the problem. Residents in this community are not naive, we're not foolish. The vendor's resignation letters spoke for themselves. Taking responsibility is not weakness, it is leadership. Without it, we will continue to lose the trust of vendors and residents alike. And you
Okay.
talked about nothing I did.
Sir,
Excuse me.
that has
nothing
been
I
the
did
3
in any-
minutes.
Nothing I did in any letter that
Sir.
I posted online was derogatory towards you. It was simply informing these residents of what is going on with the resignation. And you don't like things there.
thank you, sir. The board can respond if they so choose.
I will just say, this is exactly what I'm talking about, this, uninformed, nonsense. He's referring to the night of the resignation, when the attorney, Gia Earlywine, who was not at the violation hearing the weeks before, laid out some sort of general criticism about, using $1,000 fine, which is the maximum fine. He said that at the night the GMS resigned, a month or so before we had the violation hearing, we had Attorney Bennett representing us there. He spoke at length about the fines, what we could fine, how we could deliberate about those fines and the seriousness of the issues, the maximum being $1,000 fine. The board spent a tremendous amount of time discussing that and agreed and voted unanimously on the 4 $1,000 fines.
Which the
Sir,
So,
Sorry,
it's
not a back and forth, it's not a debate.
My point that he doesn't listen. In his letter, he said we did not follow counsel's advice. He says that was the night of the resignation. The fine happened a month before the meeting with a different attorney there who didn't advise that we did it 2 months. 2 months ago, thank you.
You were talking about
This is
Okay.
collecting the $1,000.
Folks,
You all
folks,
understand, this is all-
Listen to
I would recommend to the board as well that we let the audience speak, and we comment after the fact, okay, because otherwise we're gonna be here all night. We really do not want to have this as a back and forth. This is what we shouldn't be doing.
Absolutely, I would appreciate it if we, continue to try to
so-
support.
Again, we'll give the audience members 3 minutes. I think the back and forth, to keep this meeting moving and keep this decorum, it needs to stop, so. Yes, sir.
Alex McKenna, 1172 on the way. I'm just gonna be short and sweet. Kevin, you've done a great job with the security of the Management Center. You've helped clean up a lot of the stuff in the neighborhood. Over the last year, we've seen countless issues of break-in, robbery, whatever. So you all know that, yeah. I mean, right? It doesn't go unseen, right? We had a kid broke into my car like 2 weeks ago. And I'm not saying you directly solved that problem, but his work, some of the other board members, mainly Ted and I, in my opinion, and Bill, part of the HOA, has done a great job in cleaning that up. I don't think that goes unnoticed. It's unfortunate that people are going against you. I have no problem with you. I think you do great. I just want to provide that positivity. So, towards you, I gotta get home for dinner. So.
Thanks.
Any additional audience comments? Yes, ma'am?
Sandy Gordon, 8945 minutes. I kind of just wanted to add that too, that like, I don't really understand what's going on with all the other people here. I don't know if they're in cahoots with each other, his wife and him, and this guy, I'm looking across the street, maybe they have a personal issue, but I don't understand the defending of, okay, wasting money and stuff like that. I would rather pay an extra $500 a year and get a better landscaper than what we have now. Like, who gives a crap that they're horrible. Everything looks like crap, and I think everybody in the neighborhood, the Facebook post, there's one the other day, they're not doing a good job, so I'm sure they were gonna get fired anyways. let's move on from that. I don't, and William, you also said that you reached out to GMS and the attorney personally, and they gave you more details of exactly what happened. Tell us. I want to know the details. You have all this stuff. You don't want to pay the post on Facebook. And I'm going to give you just a tip. You said you don't want to deal with the drama. I mean, you know, the way your wife's post came off was not what you wanted it to do, like you just said. It wasn't like, it was very much one-sided, and it seemed like you were going against the rest of the board, and you had animosity against them, period. Whether you meant to or not, so maybe next time, just have your wife post what you wanted and not like add things or whatever it is, but it very much did not come off as if you're like just trying to be transparent and share something. It seemed like you had something against them and you're like, oh, I need to add something, and you know, maybe put it on the CDD website and tell your wife, oh, go here, I can post something, or whatever it is. When you're having your wife do it on top of that as well, it also still looks very catty and like high schoolish. You know, however you want to do it, you know, email people. I don't really know what you guys do, to be honest. I don't really know any of you guys and what you guys actually do. So
We can all talk to each other.
right. So whatever it is, you know, it didn't, I want to just, maybe you didn't mean it to come off that way, but that's how it came off. And I think that's how everybody in the group, how it came off. So it came off like you were undermining them, but also like, oh, they're not being transparent. Like, I don't agree with any of them. They're wrong. I don't, this whole entire time, we're not on the same team. That's like how it came off. It's like you against them. So, you know, just kind of keep that in mind, I guess, going forward. But I would love to hear what they all told you in regards to the details. You know, what actually happened. Because you said you reached out personally and you wanted to know what happened. So when you find a new company, you guys can do better. So where the details. We want, like, he gave receipts, like, we see the emails, and that's the other thing with, like, GMS, okay, issue can fix in 28 days. Not answering or giving an update after 20 days is not acceptable, and I'm pretty sure I hope they agree with that, because if that's the way their company runs, I'm glad they're leaving. That's not who we want either. We don't want to pay for that. But, yeah, like I said, I'm still very interested in knowing what the details are of what they told you. I'd love to know receipts and actual events.
Just,
Thank you. I mean, again, you know, I think we should keep the audience comments going. Sorry, Rabah, I have an opportunity, if you want to make a note or something. I mean, again, you have the opportunity if you'd like to, but I think to keep things moving. Any additional audience comments? Yes, sir. Name and address for the record.
I have a question, Leanne. It's pretty much in line with what you just said. From you and from GMS, I'd love to hear, you know, what happened. Who was the point of contact with the landscaping folks that was mistreating them, you know, being rude, you know? What happened? Because all vendors sending a letter pretty much coordinated sends a signal. It's unfortunate they weren't specific. Now everybody's sitting here wondering, that's the genesis of this whole thing. So I think, you know, we could squash this just by being transparent and, you know, saying exactly what happened, because I know.
I feel like your wife knows, that's why she's so pissed, but like, how does she know? No one else does.
Because you shared it, you said, you want to be transparent, so be transparent.
Well, actually, I'm still waiting for contact from one of the people to get more of his information. But basically, I have asked both GMS and the attorney to put provide their information to me, so that it is not he said, she said, their point of view, because that way there's no misconstruing.
I understand that,
But their comments have been in relation to being inundated and the tone of emails, the amount of emails, the back and forth. Kevin. Well, it depends on what the topic was. So some of the issues were with, they said were with Kevin, and then the point of contact for the landscape was Rabah, and basically, the landscaper relayed information to GMS that they didn't like how that interaction was going, and how Rabah was interacting with them and the things he was saying, the way he was acting.
Okay.
And
What was he saying that was?
Rabah, can you maybe give us some?
that's why I was hoping the landscaper would come to explain their point of view.
One second. I understand, but what we're more interested in is, what kind of, was he using foul language against, that, I noticed you're waiting for information from them and whatnot, so what he said, she said, well, it doesn't time for us to discuss with the community, right? So what was he saying? Like, what kind of, was he being aggressive? Because, I know Kevin, I second what the other gentleman said, about Kevin, being very forthcoming with all of us. I can't imagine Kevin being good with anyone. But what is it that, people were complaining about, like the attorney, like what was the attorney saying that, people were being rude to them?
So that was the 3 minutes, just so we're willing, if you'd like to respond to Rabah.
Yeah, I have to. See, the thing is, every single one of you guys have access to audience, you can ask from them. So, I didn't want to go through details a lot, but let's do it now. One of the emails that said they asked the landscaper to report to me, not the email, one of the accusation, but as a landscaper to only report to me. I have the email, you guys can see. I copied my shepherd, which is the field manager for GMS, and the account manager for the landscaper, like, hey, please moving forward, copying every single email that have something to do with the landscaper community, and if there's any decision going to be made, spoke to us before. I don't, do you guys get it, this one, I can ask you like to report only to me? I don't think so. It says like share with me information. I don't ask you to tell them. The other thing is I have interacted with them 4 times. The first 3 days, the first 3 services they have here in the community, talking about stuff, asking about stuff, and the last time was by the drinking issue. Other than that, never talked to them. And the funny part is, this is even one of the funny parts. I've seen every single complaints about the landscaping on the Facebook page. I dare anybody shows me an email, me complaining about the landscaping. There's 0. 0. So you know what, it is what it is, they can say whatever they want to say. I mean, somebody can come
Well,
up.
it might not be on the email, but how would you personally get down? Would you personally like, well, I can see.
I know we're trying to get, I know what we're trying to get into, right? The thing is, so no, you got in a situation like go work, that's mine. It's up to you, and then me, I'm telling you that everything was handled professionally, you wanna believe it, it's up to you, you don't wanna believe it, it's up to you. They can say whatever they want. And keep in mind, this vendor, they have a relationship with management company. It would be beneficial for them to leave with management company and say less.
I heard that would be beneficial for them to leave business on the table, unless they're highly inconvenienced by it, but, that's what.
Oh, so you have any question? Quite a big question. Show me what it is disrespecting them about.
I'm not accusing of anything, I'm just asking.
Like it.
No, you're taking us out, because I'm just asking, I asked him, what does he know? Now I'm asking you.
Wait,
I'm trying to provide, your point of
Again.
view, so you're not being attacked, right?
So,
So,
I appreciate the comments.
you seem like
Robin.
you're a little hot, you seem like you're always a little hot, so.
So Rabah responded, again, I think we should continue on with the meeting, okay? Is there any other audience comments specific to the agenda? Yes, ma'am. Name and address for the record.
I just have some, questions, because I'm just hearing, and it seems like you have more knowledge of this, and I'd like to know, and it also seems that you're coming across very heated when you're saying it. I don't know you very much. I don't know what's going on as a relationship. Well, both of these. Oh, I mean, well, you told him narcissist. Oh, wow, he is. So, like, when someone's speaking and you call him a narcissist, I don't know everything that's going on in the situation. We only know the facts that can be given to us, and it seems like you guys have more. Well, I get all the details, and now I'll get to it. But like, I don't know.
Okay, folks, again, this is not a debate back and forth.
that's my interpretation of what's going on right now. I have worked with plenty of vendors in my time, in my past previous jobs. And a lot of vendors, if they're not getting what they want, or they're being asked to do too much, they bow out. And by the way that they left us, high and dry, and asking for even a shorter time period, I don't see the vendors having that much clout in them. Like, they're not really standing up. I mean, they're just bowing out, and really telling us what went wrong. I mean, they know that it's not just the board that's running the community. They're leaving the community behind without having anyone because of that. So they should have come to the meeting, they should have told us what was happening, so that if there is an issue on the board, that the people can do something about it. When it's just two people in the meeting that seem to be, from my opinion, attacking, it's hard to stand behind it without having all the information. So I'm just saying, going forward, it would be nice that that information and the fact that a select few were able to get that information and hunt down that information is kind of a little bit of a red flag as a homeowner who cares. True, like, I mean, when you say true, is it he said, she said, or is it true?
When I said factual and accurate.
Okay.
Well, if you look at the landscaper's letter.
The landscape letter said.
But it said for Andy, and you president.
So again, so,
I would like a little more clarity on things.
yes,
Yeah. So it's got to be purple, and you're gonna
And
think
I
it's
know,
got-
like, side note, still my 3 minutes. I've had a lot of interactions with Kevin and supporting where I've had people smoking pot in the community area, and he was right on it, the same with Rabah. So I contacted them on their own time because I would like to be able to bring my son to the pool and not have people tearing them. So far, I have only seen good things. I've been to a lot of these meetings and I've only seen them handle them professionally. So I can't say anything bad about my experience.
any other audience comments?
First of all, she brought.
Sorry, just name and address for the record.
Rebecca Hathaway, 822 Full Respect. She brought up the email that I posted on for my husband. All I said was, I'm posting this on behalf of William Hathaway, Eagle Point CDD Supervisor Seat 1. This is an email provided to the Eagle Point CDD Board of Directors by the district's attorney, who also resigned along with the management company. Below, I posted the email. So how is that, as your words, saying, that I was basically, I don't even remember exactly how you said it, but, yeah, Patty. I'm not, I was.
Yeah, I've never posted
Ma'am,
anything.
Please,
She's asking me a question.
Oh, and I answered, and you made a comment that was altered, and I have the actual original comment that about me and my husband. And I still have that comment, and the fact that you disparaged me and my husband, I don't appreciate it. I have a copy of that comment, somebody did it. I just want to say that since November 2024, things have really went downhill for this CDD. We have lost our 3 largest vendors by resignation, not hiring, since August, because our chair and vice chair can't seem to show respect to our vendors. I'm all for holding vendors accountable, but there's an appropriate way to do that, and sending demeaning or threatening emails and cussing them out isn't the way to treat vendors. So now you two have put this district in an impossible situation where we essentially have to take what we can get and pay significantly more money. Since basically both of your behaviors have cost us all a lot of more money. And I, for one, don't want to use next year's budgeted money that was supposed to go to reserves to pay increased costs as a result of your actions. When the district sought out new district management last year, we had 6 companies submit interest up to me, and 4 showed up to a meeting to compete for our business. And now we have had 1, now 2, submit interest and submit a bid at a price not only higher than last year, but it's like $20,000 more than we currently pay, and we're getting less services. And in relation to the landscape company, it takes time for a new landscape company to learn the layout of our community, and changing a landscape vendor in the middle of rainy season doesn't help matters. One of the perks of changing to Princeton Sons was their offer to provide $10,000 in improvements to the community for free, and you chased that offer before the community could even realize this benefit. Numerous people attacked the previous CDD supervisor, Kathy, and attempted to get her to resign from the board for the costs associated with utilizing the district attorney to research parking restrictions on the district streets and amenity center parking lot. And I'm willing to bet that the cost and risk of the district attorney that Kevin has incurred to attempt to blast people, to include minors on Facebook for any infraction at the amenity center, and to pursue residents for infractions as low as holding the door open for a neighbor has far exceeded the amount associated with Kathy's. During the first year of GMS, they have provided services over the scope of their contract for field services and amenity services. We don't even have an amenity service contract, and they have provided significant amenity services to the district for free during the year with Kevin's extensive and overwhelming security system tasks and violation pursuits. I've also been made aware by several members of this community that there's 2 Eagle Point supervisors that have been overheard together discussing CDD board business outside of a meeting.
So, unfortunately, that is the 3-minute mark. There is another opportunity at the end of the meeting for audience members to speak. Is there any other audience comments specific to the agenda at this time? We also have some folks on Zoom. If there's anybody on Zoom that would like to speak, just use the raise your hand feature and we will acknowledge you. Okay. Not seeing any in person. I'll give another second here for the audience members on Zoom. Okay, seeing none. So we'll go ahead and continue with the agenda. I will state just something from GMS. We did offer a letter of resignation. We did send out an email concerning the concerns GMS had and the reasonings. And at the past meeting, GMS did state at that meeting through Jason Greenwood some of the reasons. There's not been anything that has been stated to any particular board member that hasn't been said to the others or was disclosed in any of those other ways to any of my knowledge. So, you know, I mean, at that point, that's where we're at. We do appreciate you all working with us in the interim, and we do wish you the best moving forward.
Thank you, Rich. I appreciate your last statement there, because to hear some of the things we heard tonight, one might believe that you, GMS, told certain supervisors things that you didn't tell me when I asked for honest feedback. That appears to not be the case. So
yeah, I mean, again, we discussed and the board members that did reach out, we did have conversations with, and again, it was, you know, some of the things that were mentioned tonight and things of that nature. And, you know, we've had a couple of conversations, Kevin, in addition to with district counsel.
Yes. So,
I mean, and Jason was here last meeting and gave some details, and we obviously released our statement as well. So, but with that, I'd say we continue on with the regular business of the meeting. If everybody's okay. Okay. So business matters. So we do have the acceptance of Prince and Sons resignation. It is a 90-day resignation. We would need to accept that, but then discuss landscaping services and how you would like to move forward. You know, the board obviously, yeah. So ma'am, it has a sensor, and so with them sitting there, that's why it keeps clicking. So it'll keep doing it. So yeah, with that, they do have a 90-day termination. They did ask to be let out earlier. Obviously, that was sent after the previous meeting. So they're still within their 90 days. Board, I would recommend, you know, you need a landscaper, so I would suggest keeping them as long as,
I mean,
and then that way you can get a new landscaper, whether through new management, assuming.
correct. I have to be honest, I know some homeowners are frustrated with stuff like that. I've seen some posts about like tire marks. It's ways. We're gonna have to with any landscaping company. I have no issue with them. Actually, I like the work. They did a good job. That's the truth of it. But yeah, we're gonna have to, you know, go find a new one. As a matter of fact, I'm working on it, and I have a couple of them lined up. So.
Okay. So first, we would just need to accept Prince's resignation for the 90 days.
a motion to accept the resignation.
Second. So it's first from Kevin, second from Rabah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Ron. Okay, so the motion will pass. In addition to that, there's a discussion of landscape RFP services. So there's a couple ways you can go about this. Is you can put out for an RFP. Again, this is based off of the last RFP you did. The threshold is under the 195, which is what the formal bid would be. So this would be considered an informal bid. We can go forward with that. You can also, if there's a landscaper that the board would want to hire as kind of in the interim, you can do that as well. There's no specific requirements for any of that. So if you do have a landscaper that maybe comes to a future meeting and is like, hey, we'd like to hire them for the interim, even in an emergency capacity for like temporary, be like, hey, we want you here for a few months, and then we can produce the RFP and go forward with that. You can do that as well. So it's essentially just kind of what the board would like to do. And Jerry, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that procedurally.
I don't. I think you've described it well, unless there's questions.
Okay.
Just one thing, because when I was working with those landscapers trying to get this one, I saw that it was letter of even. The map is not correct.
Okay.
You have the entire section, Collar Road, the one by the road, the sidewalk, all that is not included in the map. So if you guys don't go with the landscape that needs to be fixed, so it's a big massive area that needs to be mowed, you know. With the guys I'm working with now, they already know about it, and actually I did get the proposal, so probably can follow through later. As a matter of fact, it's on the case in here. You challenge me to get a cheaper one, which that's exactly what I need, the cheaper price. It's going to be the same service and same quality. You know, homeless me to understand this kind of stuff, you know, happen during the rainy season and stuff like that, but it's going to take a little time to fix things or to things, and it should be fine.
The areas that we talked about with the engineer.
That's
That need to be added in.
that's we can do that always as a needed service.
Yeah,
As
but
it's needed.
But some of those areas were those areas that needed to be regularly maintained, or is it just gonna
It's
be?
not regularly.
Periodic.
Yeah, it's what happens is during the rainy season, you have a lot of roots growing up and stuff like that, so whenever you see it happen, and that's actually what my big issue with me, you know, about it. It's been months I've been reporting it to him, and he never did anything about it. It's happened now. I mean, talking about that.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, so you have that landscape map. That is something you can base off future scopes for future landscaper that you'd like. Obviously that's your, records. So you guys can use that and make adjustments to it as needed, with whoever that you end up hiring.
Yeah.
So,
At the end with that map, do we have all the colors the way we want?
it was the same, it was the same, it's the same map existing.
You know, despite the exhaustive effort to get a good map, it turned out that an entire, massive strip along Carter was overlooked, wasn't in the map, as well as a few more minor things. That was the biggest glaring one. So the map needs a revision before it goes out to landscapers again.
Do you want to take that on and color it, so that way it's sufficient for?
Yeah, we have to do it if we're gonna have other companies. The one.
Well, I know, I mean, we've got to get those changes
Oh, yeah,
done.
we have to.
I mean,
Yeah,
do
they,
you want to do that, or do you want to wait until we have a new management company to have them
well, here's the
finalize
thing.
it, or the engineer? I don't know if that's something.
I know of a couple based on people reaching out via Facebook and saying that there had been a mistake or an area was not supposed to be done, it's supposed to be done. But it's not, so there's a couple areas I know need to be fixed on it, but it's not, like, I have not undertaken the effort, nor will I, of going through every property on the GIS map in order to determine what is CDD, what is easement, and what, we were close to having that. We even had one that was based on property maps, you could see every property. But the eventual one that went out was a much more simplified version, and that's where some of these things ended up falling through the cracks. So I think I can certainly take a stab at, working with the map that they ended up with, and adding a few more yellow lines to it.
I mean, it's up to you. Do you want to take that time to do it, or do we want to wait for the new management company? And because either way it goes,
Yeah,
we have roughly 60 days still.
For them, yes,
Because it was
because
beginning of August.
they
so
resigned 10-ish days after the last meeting.
What I think is the right approach,
We haven't.
personally,
Okay.
is to take a version that GMS had sent me, that they ended up using, that was a detailed property map from state GIS, which was in the community. They had given that to me originally, and I spent several hours going through and questioning certain areas and they responded to all the comments. But then, like I said, the actual map they produced ended up being like a cartoonish version of that, and a lot of the detail is lost. So I think the right way to do it and have it right, because we weren't unable to do it, and get it right through GMS, would be to have our, district engineer take the version that I had originally received, which was very well detailed and easy to see the properties, and let them.
So just so I understand, so you're saying there was a different map that was attached?
Yeah.
Because we based everything off of what the board
They sent
approved.
me a whole map. It was based, they sent me for review because I kind of took the effort to try to get an accurate map, because I knew how much it cost us by having an inaccurate map with our last vendor. Cost us 25K the first week when they said that the map was wrong and their bid was low, and they charged them the 25K to fix the map. So every meeting for however long, I tried
Yeah, I
so
remember.
hard to get that map right. And so when I did get a version, I can find that email. It was essentially what we needed. But the argument that GMS made to me when they gave me the cartoon version was it was too hard to put this in a proposal, because there was too much level of detail. They would have had to maybe break it up into sections or something, which isn't rocket science, to be honest with you. So I would suggest that I go back, find that email, send it to you, see if the person that made that original version can get us the file. Then we can work with that file to add few revisions and debate, and we can disseminate it to people instead of a printed paper version. We can just give them the electronic file, let them make their own paper versions from it. That's the approach that I would take, because then
So that was GMS somebody from GMS that got.
Yeah.
GIS statement?
It was a GIS-based map. It was nicely colored. You could zoom in, you could see the actual properties, you could see the distinctions that you can't see on that, the one that we posted.
I would almost think with what the engineer provided us during the last meeting, that he probably would be able to pull that up himself as well.
Oh, absolutely. And you could just do a QAQC over the previous version, just to make sure that there's also nothing listed we haven't overlooked.
The one we had, the one we used last time,
Yeah.
I would say it's like 90% close.
It-
Yes, so what I did with this guys now, give him the map, and explain that the corridor road section is also as well, because we're gonna have to do it. There are some details we need to talk about later down the road when we come to that section. What they did, they used satellite measure, they came here, actually measured and everything. They know exactly what kind of work, and they're really flexible, we can add, change stuff with them, and it won't be a problem, but of course, if we go with them. But I'm talking about if we're gonna get other bids, we need to have the map ready, and because you want to have somebody here, and all of a sudden, hey, you missed a section, which that's even funnier. When we hired Sun Prince, the first day I was walking here with them, the account manager said, "Yeah, you see, yes," and Mickey said, we're not going to be doing the corner road," and I'm like, "No, it's part of it." Then when it hits me, and I checked the map, and it was completely missed. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, memory serves me right, I remember it being colored along the wall, but yeah.
Exactly, they just did the sidewalk and they completely forgot about that. I don't know, he convinced them somehow to do it.
I don't think you should convince anybody. Again, we were basing off the map that was before, but either way, so moving forward, what would you like to do?
You trying to get that, or just, if we just ask the engineer to go into GIS map?
What I suggest I do is I'll just pull up that email, because it has attached, it has all, my questions and GMS's answers. I'll send him those three things. The guy is super efficient, super smart, and just say, hey, can you, clean this up, and you gotta add this, Carter. Oh, it was probably on the original. It's on that one. And I mean, bill us for it, but it's not super wonderful. It's really.
But I mean, we make sure we get what we want. I mean, do you want to look at?
So this is the question, since we're talking about that.
The August,
We can, I mean, I can have my guys come to the next meeting, it's no problem. They're ready to go, but the question is, so this is my thoughts, like, when we, as a matter of fact, we're talking about this, you know, you guys probably don't even aware that we completely lost the sound of the steam outside the wall. It's completely different week, because you have a different rest, so it's never treated right. You have sound of the steam from the entrance to the curb. The rest of it is, I forget what the name of the head rest. No, not the hair. Huh? You digress, something I forget, anyway, it's, so yeah, it's, because the mitigation is completely illegal. So that entire section from the entrance, you have, I would say, little section, some of the seat, and the rest of it, all the way here, it won't need any fertilizer or anything like that, because of some of the seat. That's why I paid attention in the guy who I was talking to. That's something we need to pay attention to, that's gonna save us money. And the other question is, how do you guys want to do the Carter Road section? Me personally, it would be better if we do it every other week, even during the growing season. I mean, it rains and they don't even do it. Because if we do
it's
it,
almost, once a month anyway, because it's so wet.
yeah. So if we do it like that, because we want to have it set like that, we won't save us some money.
I mean, is it still mostly saying Augustine from the sidewalk to the street, or is it Behave?
To the street? Oh, it was all the hair. So it wasn't some of the seats to begin with.
That's what I didn't think so.
Well, yeah, but we lost the entire, so we have some of the steam in the entrance, little section, and here. The rest of it is all the hair.
All right, so at the next meeting, I'll talk to the engineer, see if at the next meeting, we'll give us an updated map, and then, right, since the timeline works.
Second, or 18th, or we're talking.
So do you want me guys to invite the guys, or how are we gonna do it? What do you think, Richard?
Well, I mean, it's really up to you. If you have somebody that you're looking to bring on, again, I would suggest they come before the board to discuss with everybody, and then you can approve or whatnot. Again, it's an informal bid, so you're not obligated to send it out to RFP.
So it doesn't hurt to have them here, just, you know.
I would suggest that,
All right.
yes.
Yeah, that's
So if that's something that you wanted to do at the September meeting, you were saying?
Yeah, just to have, you know, everybody gonna be on the same page, and, so this company does a lot of communities in the area, like Wood Ranch, and they have a lot of.
Just so too, the September meeting is a special meeting, so it would be just items that you feel that you need to add for that meeting. So it'd be like the landscaper would be.
Yeah, that sounds good, yeah.
I'm in the lawyer, right, to this thing.
Well, I mean, again, that's up to you. We can review the proposals if there's one that you want to move with or not. If not, then we can ask them to return for the September 18th meeting, if that's what you'd like to do.
Sounds good. All right.
Okay, so then, and so Rabah, you're reaching out to the landscaper?
Yeah, but do you want me to set before I will send you the proposal.
Yes, please, because then we can include it in the agenda.
They offer basically from hurricane cleaning to irrigation to everything, basically everything. And just small details here and there. There's going to be fertilizing for the grass 4 times a year, for the shrubs 3 times a year. So you know, it's the basic thing for community sites.
Okay. Any other discussion for landscaping? Okay, so consideration proposal for district management services. So we do have 2 management companies here tonight. We have Kai, which is just right over here. And then we also got a proposal from Infomark. They brought that with them.
Today.
Yeah, brought that with them, so they do have a copy of that. You know, my suggestion would be is give each of them the opportunity to speak to the board. Again, it is a public meeting, so everybody's allowed to stay, but if the board would like to ask for one to step out, that's not an issue, as long as they're okay with that.
It's kind of the one they used to be for British something.
Yeah, I'll let them speak a little bit on that. Yeah,
Okay.
so they're here. They're both are here. So if that's what you'd like to do, we can, you know, again, it's a public meeting, but we can have just step out. Yep,
Well,
okay.
what do you guys, last time we had the other like we only have the one presenting in and everybody else.
So would you like to do board like 5 minutes speech or presentation and 5 minutes of,
You're welcome to stay if you want.
yeah, it's a public meeting, so good to go, yeah. Yeah, so, so like 5 minutes to talk and then 5 minutes question and answer, or however you'd like to do it.
Yeah, as you mentioned, we were previously briefed, so we've been on your committee previously.
Yeah, you might recognize her, she was actually at the last meeting, I couldn't make the last one, but we would have presented to you before. So my name is Lauren Burns, I'm the vice president at CHI. This is Maria Elia, she is our director of communications. So since we only have a few minutes, we'll keep it quick. But, you know, I guess I'll just start by saying it sounds like we have some challenges going on here, and why we're excited to be here. You know, this is something that we confidently submitted our proposal on, and we feel really confident about it. I will say that your district manager would be Andy Mendenhall. He actually had a conflict tonight, and he did want us to let you know that he would not have that conflict going forward. He's available this night, he just had a special meeting in another district. He's been in the industry for over 20 years. We've had a lot of conversations, and he's really confident about taking this district on, working with the board. He has a track record for kind of just coming in and cleaning things up, getting things done. So we're really excited about presenting him to you. If you'd like to talk to him, you can provide his number, you can reach out to him before making a decision, signing for that option there for you. I heard you guys talking about the landscaping, so I just want to touch on a couple high level things and I'll leave it for questions. So we are the only management company in the state of Florida that partners with program called Optics 360. It's a landscaping software, which I found we have some landscaping concerns going on as well. We do use it in several of our communities, and the vendors that we work with utilize the software. So essentially what it is it's like a car that drives around, either car or on foot. I'm not sure if you watched the video that was in the proposal. So you'd have access to that dashboard. That would happen once a month or twice a month, depending on how we want to contract with that. And that will give you kind of full oversight of what's going on. You can go back and look at history. So it's a really good feature. You kind of hold the vendor accountable, and then it's good for the board as well. And we build reports in your agenda packages so the residents can see that everything. So I did want to touch on that portion. I'll let Maria give you a few words on kind of how our communication and transparency goes.
Yeah, so just I'll be quick. We are one of a very unique company that happens to have resident experience center. So what that means is we have a team that is prepared to just take on any questions. We set up a dedicated email for your community. So if you have any concerns or need to report anything, they reach out to us and we handle them directly. We offer a 24-hour response guarantee, so we're not getting back to you in a timely manner. We make sure to send a $5 gift card on us. That doesn't come out of the district's budget, just on us to hold ourselves accountable, as well as the vendors. And then we also do very robust newsletters if the board would like us to. I oversee the communications department. So we can work with your vendors, we can work with your district manager directly on things that are going on, board decisions. So for those that can't attend, residents, we have a good group tonight, but for those that can't make it in the community, we can send out kind of recaps. So everybody in the community knows what's going on and we can emphasize on that transparency. I also know that there's something discussed about just reporting concerns back to the management company. We also have QR codes that we can put around your common spaces in the community. So if you see something that needs to be reported to us, you can scan the QR code and it gets sent to us immediately. So there's not too much time spent getting to the right person. So that's a little bit about us. I'm trying to be quick here. If you have any questions,
I have a question, but I'm not, you see here there's a field service manager, so do you have a field service manager?
Yes. So your field service manager would be Gary. It's actually really convenient for us because we actually manage that big property across the street. So they're always down there. We have a lot going on in this general area. So we have a field service director who's actually on vacation this week. His name's Brian Cullen, and the proposal would be kind of your direct point of contact that you kind of talk to like for updates. If you have any like larger concerns, then you have your field service manager, Gary, who would be like your on-site type person.
So let's say, as we know, this is still need to do it from HOA to this type of time by HOA. But I'm just going now, we will need somebody to basically touch base every single time, but it's not, assuming it's the, area you said?
Yeah, it would be your field manager, and then higher escalations would be Brian, his manager. And then we have like, our company's set up pretty uniquely, because we have like community directors who kind of oversee, there's an HOA to oversee that portion, but then they work really closely with the field director. So the person that manages across the street, she's actually super familiar, she's like a gem, that knows a lot about HOAs and CDDs, so she'd also kind of be checking in, and we work really collaboratively as a team, and we just have a lot going on in this area. So, you know, if Gary calls and he's like, hey, I'm here, can you check this out, there's a irrigation leak, like, we always have people in this area, so that's what makes it really convenient for us.
Good.
And then, sorry, I was just gonna mention one thing about the pricing, I'm sure that's gonna come up, so, I know that it is a little bit higher than your budget, I think we have a lot of work to do here, but we're really confident with that. If there is a proposal that is a little bit lower or something, we're happy to match the offering, so, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Alright, so thank you, my question is just, we can see issues that are raised in two different ways, there's issues, and I say issues, anything in the community that's gonna require your efforts to keep us, who also have jobs, from chasing these things around. So issues are raised either by, things that occur at a board meeting, and they're also raised by residents. A lot of issues that we have are resident-related issues. You mentioned the QR code, I thought that was really cool, I think a lot of residents, somehow still think that the private community Facebook page we have is somehow conduit to the CDD, and it's not. So when they post something there that a tree that's cracked over or one, it's only by chance that one of us sees it, but it actually, can become active. So I think having that, that means of residents, visual means around to know that they can present issues, how to get, that's like the 99 out of 100 question is, so do I ask?
Yes.
Yeah, a year later, I don't know how to, so then the biggest concern that I have is once those issues are raised and they have action items, some of them take time, there's progress, there's things that need to be done. How do you, prevent those things from falling through the cracks and keep the board members who only meet once a month or every 2 months in the loop about what's happening? Not necessarily just the liaison, but any board member who wants to see. One resident comes to them and says, hey, what's the deal with my erosion in my backyard? And, he comes to me and I have to go shoot an email to the company and say, I haven't heard anything from this, what do I do? Like, how can any one of us find and track the status of these issues? And the reason I'm asking that is because I started with one thing you wrote, you're writing a cover letter. It says your focus is on accountability, clarity, and proactive communication. That's all I want. That's all I want. And be criticized for being overly demanding, for expecting that from someone with paying, $100,000 for it. So how do you keep track of these things, keep communication going so that you can do your thing, we can know what's going on, but not have to bother you all the time for updates?
Yeah, I love this question. So first I want to brag on Andy, because he's not here bragging himself. So he he's a certified project manager. So he's very familiar with managing projects. That's actually one of his specialties. He's done complete amenity center renovations to erosion problems to, a pond that just won't stop draining. We can't figure out why. So he's really good at tracking tasks. The optic system with the landscape will track a lot of that stuff for us. It's like a field service tool. So if you have, like we said, like a dead tree and, the landscaper said it's 2 weeks till it's gonna get here, that'll be in there as an action item. The landscaper will have access to that system. We provide all the training for the board and for the landscaper as well. So that'll be like a good dashboard for you to kind of see what's going on. The resident issues, I think that's something I'll talk to the company. I think you can put the resident issue in there, because like specific resident related that required CDD involvement. Otherwise, Andy keeps really good trackers. He's actually a great communicator. I know a couple of his boards that since he's been on board with us, he's like completely turned them around. He's like texting them all the time, having conversations. So he's really easy to get in touch with and to talk to. I think the technology portion of our company is huge. And that's really what we pride ourselves on. And that's why we made this exclusive partnership with this optic system to have the dashboard. So I think that will give the board exactly what they need. we can put resident emails and updates out. I'll talk to them too about the resident board view, because in our previous system, we could have like a resident board view where it was you only just like post a link and then, residents could go and check on something. It helps with the communication, two, like the updates like in progress or completed or, or denied for whatever reason, maybe it was proposal and you didn't want to approve it. So we had something like that.
Sir, I appreciate that. Thank you.
One of the only things, and I apologize if I missed this in here, but how many meetings are you guys accounting for in your original proposal?
13. So we'll do 13, yeah, I mean, if it's like a one-off, like special meeting, like you guys are going through a transition now, that's something, we would discuss on how we cover it.
Well, I know in the past, we went from 6 meetings to 8, I know for next year, we were proposing 1 a month.
Yeah, well,
Next
it's
fiscal
pretty
year.
standard, and then we include the 13th meeting, because typically we'll hold a budget workshop for your residents. So that's what the 13th meeting would be, if you choose to, or not, we'll use them for something else.
Yeah, because I was just wondering, because I know we have in the past, almost every meeting, this will probably be the shortest meeting we have. I believe, but we tend, because we have not met as often,
Right.
our meetings tend to run longer, so I know seeing, the fee schedule.
And the other side of the story.
So that's why I was wondering how many meetings it account for. So,
Part of the issues we have with probably all the vendors is like these gaps in meetings. You don't see each other for 2 months, things fall, like, oh, I didn't know. I'm hoping this problem is gonna go away after like we meet every single month. And so with that being said, I mean, it is what it is at this point, because obviously we've been putting pressure on me and Kevin. I'm moving forward, maybe the board member needs to be doing something. You don't not just show up here and vote yes and no, and then leave, something like this happen, always the chair and vice chair. Everybody's gonna have, portion of the job to do, and I think especially we do it.
I agree.
One of the things that I would suggest is they're going through this landscape period right now where you're looking for a new vendor. It's one thing that we've implemented and we've encouraged our boards, our developers to do this. Is we put in the contract with them that they have to provide a monthly report, otherwise they don't get paid. So it's like a stipend, like that. I don't know, just talk to legal counsel, but that's kind of one thing that we've asked them to do, because it should be in your agenda package. You need to hold them accountable. We're going to provide a report. They should provide you one as well as taking care of non-vendors. So that's one thing to consider, when you're negotiating these contracts, getting those reports.
Yeah, we were paying them in this. Anyway,
Ron? Yeah, we hit the 10 minutes, but you can ask questions, but also Ron is on here as well.
Yeah.
Give Ron a chance in
Yeah.
case he has a question for Kai. Ron, do you have any questions?
I'm sorry, guys. My only question would be more for like open task tracking and what they offer for. And if they touched on it already, I understand. But my focus is on to help, keep the community informed of open tasks, what they offer as far as tracking, any tools they use, and how often they communicate. Whether it could be daily, weekly, whatever, in the meeting, however they have their cadence, what they use as a cadence to share information on open tasks and how they share that information, whether it's a tool they have, a spreadsheet, they use it on a portal, anything like that.
Should I come closer?
Yeah, it might help a little bit because it does a good job, but it's a big room.
I can hear pretty well, actually. It's okay.
Awesome. So I was just talking about, if you look in the proposal, there's a section in there. It's better if you do it digitally because there's actually a video that you can watch. But it talks about Optics 360. So that's our landscaping inspection software. So that comes with a dashboard where we'll put in the open items, anything that needs to be handled, and you'd have access to that as a board member to view, track, see comments, maybe something's on hold or however that may be. With completion dates, we can add pictures. So you'll be able to access all of that and track what's going on. That's in real time. So if our field manager updates something today, they're out of the community doing the inspection, you'll be able to see that pretty immediately. And then from there, we can pull reports and we would put those in your agenda packet monthly. That's just what we would like to do. But that's how we track our tasks. And if there's anything outside of that, like I said, you can work with your district manager. If you want to see a different platform, if you'd like an Excel spreadsheet, Andy's really crafty and really great at project management. So he'd be able to help
come up with whatever suits your needs, and what the board would like to see.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course, and then Maria sends out newsletters whenever you tell her to.
I have one more question.
Sure.
I know you guys do HOA soon.
Yes, we do.
Let's say, hypothetically, let's appreciate. Down the road, our community is gonna hire you guys for HOA as well. What are we gonna benefit?
Well, I
us?
would say this is CDD, so we don't want to go too much into the HOA.
The point what I'm talking
stuff,
about
yeah.
for the price raise.
I think that we would consider the fact that we are in the community already, so we could probably work on a
Now,
release.
I don't worry about HOA, we're going to CDD.
Well, we can look at it. I think this is where we're coming in at, this is where we're at right now, and, let's start working together and.
Well, you're
And I think I'd be upset if we didn't try.
So I'm just trying to get.
No, I'd be upset if we
Wherever
didn't
the
try
cost
to.
saving is, it still goes to all of us, so.
Let's get started and clean
Yeah.
things up and get you guys on track, and I'm happy to talk about that.
All right, that's.
Awesome. Okay, we'll step out and we'll grab, Infomark for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Then, what's the color you're talking about? Which color you were talking about? Is it the light or the?
On the right, but I would,
It's not.
you reach out to them and be like, hey guys.
They changed the Juniper, who we got rid of a year,
It's not.
year and a half ago.
The big bubble.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
then get-
Not.
But yeah, but yeah.
On the middle and the left.
Tools to develop this stuff. Some companies sound like they've got a lot of tools to help.
Well, I hate to say, but everybody that we know is good.
Are you,
Well, they just got tools that you can use and utilize that.
But we have an option for it.
Pretty much, kind of same part of last time.
Good.
My question last time.
Sorry about that, I was talking to one of the residents out there.
I apologize if these are not stapled. I had the person that was coming to do the presentation. COVID.
No worries.
I think you got it electronically also.
It was sent out via email,
Yes.
but it was a little bit ago.
You want,
Yes, if I could, I'll just add it to the folder for it. Thank you.
okay. I recognize two of you that did a presentation here a year ago.
Welcome back.
Yeah. So I've listened to, the beginning of the meeting. I know you didn't have much time to look at the presentation. Infomark is one of the largest management companies out there. We have 143 CDDs. We're not a small company. If you're looking for a small company, that's fine. We manage HOAs, CDDs. I think we have 280 HOAs. We manage, half dozen to a dozen cities. We do municipal utility districts, fire districts. We're large on that side. We have an amenity department, we have a field department, we have our maintenance people. All the people on the field side are our employees, no one's contract. Just kind of giving you the basics. We're one of the original companies that started in the CDD arena. We're basically out in Rosetta and been around for 45 years. So.
I didn't get a chance to look at it, to be honest.
No problem.
A little bit, late. We don't have my.
It's in there, 12,000 a year. Yeah.
And what's, like, when we, how much this service is involved with the community? But like, how often we make a year, like, build monthly, maybe inspection monthly, or?
Field service, they'll be doing, they do 3 inspections a month. They do their initial inspection, then they send that inspection that same day to all the vendors. So to your landscaper, to your products company, and if the clubhouse is managed by separate staff, we send it to the clubhouse if we find deficiencies here. So then we get them 5 days to respond to it, then you get another updated report with, with the actions or resolutions or scheduled dates on when things are going to be resolved. So, and then they also do, a final, the third walkthrough is, field inspection is a daily. Okay, just make sure that, okay, this was said, yeah, okay. So,
Do you guys do any communities in this area here or not?
Yes, we do, I just left the, Forest Street CDD meeting. We do Forest Street, Lexington, we do all of the MI and our new communities that are here. That's on the developer
On
side.
the developer side?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not on the developer side, I'm on the residential side. We have a different team of people that handle developer districts. You know, they're two different animals.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So how do you get, what's the conduct by which you get, concerns or issues presented by residents versus, I guess, presented by board members? And when I say issues, I mean issues, that we have issues where properties are affected, you know, the property abuts the CBD property, there's no real delineation, you know, between, except for the imaginary property line, but there's erosion there. Essentially in someone's backyard. And so, you know, there needs to be a process of finding out what can be done about that and so on. And that's just, say, one resident's issue that they raise. And then let's say there's dozens of those things, and then there's ongoing issues with landscaping and other maintenance things, and projects that we have and whatnot. How do you track all of these things, and by what means are new ones created? And are we as board members able to be updated as to what's going on, what the status of each little issue or project is in between, in case residents reach out, they ask us what's going on with this, what's going on with that.
Well, we have a project board. Every board member gets a project board every Friday. So you know of every project that's going on in the community. If it's something that we're handling, if it's something that the board is directed, you might see something on there, your landscape map. I know I'm just here, presenting, you might like this answer, you might not. I'd recommend that you follow up with the district engineer, have him go through it, because not only looking at the county, you know, looking at the GIS mapping, that's part of it. The other part of it is making sure you're reading the plat and seeing what maintenance wise, it might be CDD land, but maintenance could be dedicated to the HOA. Maintenance could be dedicated to the county. Might be CDD land, doesn't mean that you're supposed to maintain it. So reviewing the plat, reviewing all the dedications, that's something that your engineer would do.
I agree.
And create that map, and once you have a solid landscape map, then go out to bid. If you don't have a solid landscape map, it sounds like you have,
Yeah.
We've gone out to bid twice without a proper landscape map.
yeah, Providence does not have any landscape map. If you guys don't want to, I wouldn't want to be the guy that said, told you so that it failed, but you really need a proper landscape map. And when you do an RFP, strongly recommend that you do a pre-bid meeting, make it mandatory pre-bid meeting, and have every landscaper walk the property with the field inspector. And identify areas, okay, this is, you know, see that separation in the preference area are two different property lines. That's HOA, that's a resident, this is CDD. I know you can't tell it, you have to mark it off that palm tree, you know, to make sure you get those lines.
Right.
You know, so map is the key thing, and right now it's scope.
So let's say a resident wants to, raise concern, because, you know, again, no matter how, we try to tell the residents that the community Facebook page is not where you complain about the CDD. Because there's no one there who's obligated to, share that information.
Right, we don't look at it.
That's, it's nothing, it's a private community group. So the question is, if a resident has a question, comment, or concern, I think they go to the district website and then you receive those and log those complaints.
There's a form, we can put a form on the district website.
Yeah,
You could either contact the district manager via email, cell phone, office phone.
right,
What's the response time?
that's like response time,
Go this 24 hours business time. I mean, if you call Friday at 3 o'clock, and you have a look, you know.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's got the expectation.
It's Saturday at 7 in the morning.
Saturday, 7, they're on the boat. They're not.
Have an answer by 8.
I mean, I'm just wondering if, you know, 25 days response to a supervisor and an update on a drainage main, break is appropriate level of responsiveness.
No, I would have someone on performance improvement paying that time.
You know, and so us, as board member being.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, regional director, so when I say I have somebody over all the
Yeah.
manager on this coast, there's somebody who's, there's 25 days.
Right. I'm an engineer, okay, I'm a big fan of lists and checkboxes.
Well, that's where the project work, like,
Yeah,
tells you what day.
so I like that, so you saying like every Friday, each supervisor is getting some sort of an update of where various issues stand? Is that what you mean by the project board?
Yeah, the project board has to update on everything that's going on. It might have, there might be a blurb on the project board that said several people are confused, just letting you know that several residents are confused about the trim notice that they received. And even though your budget, you adopted a lower budget, your trim notice was higher. And that's on project board at Forestry. They lowered the budget, they dropped it. They raised it 250,000 in the last year.
Yeah,
The August meeting, so they worked things out, they got it right.
right,
It's only a $60 increase, not a $450 per home increase. Then they got their term notice, so we can keep the board up to date.
so could this project board have all issues, big and small, or a separate section for it, that's, big things, ongoing things, small things? I don't like anything that
Like,
falls
what
through
do
the
you
cracks.
call a small one? Me picking out the weed out of the corner of the bed?
No. I'm talking about like, a resident has complained that, an area wasn't properly cleaned up after the landscaper fixed their watering break. And so there's sand all over the sidewalk. No, I don't, I'm just trying to, I'm playing with you to see what you consider big and small.
Yeah,
It's
well,
not-
I'm trying to-
It's not a small thing when they email me every week asking me what's going on.
If there's a water on their stand on the sidewalk,
Yeah.
that's a liability, someone,
Right.
someone could get injured, no, that's a big thing. Everything's gonna be on there, small thing. If you both look back there, there's a little loop and there's a little hump in the road,
Yeah,
someone's gonna straighten that out, that's not gonna get
okay,
any.
let me give you another small.
That's right.
Not a small thing, tell me what you do about this. So you have the map, we talked about how important the map is. The map actually shows an area that's not supposed to be mowed. Yet the landscaping company mows it twice, it scouts someone's pristine St. Augustine irrigated lawn, thinking that it's a CP property.
Okay, well, that's a simple
And
fix,
it is.
that's a simple fix, the landscaper's gonna have to fix, replace that sod or repair that sod. And they're automatically gonna get a 30-day notice to correct from our field inspector.
Right,
And we're gonna put that in the agenda package, let the board know it'll be on the project board.
right.
And then you're also
So it's
gonna,
on the project board, so there's tracking, and what if, they're fixed? I mean, this person's lawn had no business being touched. And let's say the fix is inadequate, they put crappy sod down or whatever, it's not to the standard that it was before. The battle is ongoing, they say they're done. They're belligerent to the resident, and now.
well, that shouldn't be happening where the landscaper is really interacting with the resident. We're gonna make sure that the landscaper interacts with the field inspector. The field inspector is gonna be overseeing it. He's gonna go, what is this? Well, it's St. Augustine, it should be mud-based St. Augustine, so it takes, not sand-based, not some cheap stuff that you got from the,
Right,
you
of course, yeah,
know, and they're gonna identify also, is this Florida can or palmetto, because they have a huge oak tree, and it needs to be palmetto because it's gonna be the shade. You just can't go, those are details that we should have resolved.
and be on top of.
And do you think about board members getting involved?
So, board members getting involved. Now, here's, we do like it when board members are assigned a task or the liaison. You're liaison for landscape, okay. You're liaison for aquatics, for ponds. You're liaison for the amenity center.
Yep.
Now, liaison, will liaise, I hate to put it that way, but
Yes.
everything landscape wise, you're gonna get decent seed on. Everything pond wise, you're gonna get decent seed on.
Yeah.
Sally Joe complains that the landscaper missed their area.
the district manager, criminal justice with the field inspector, the landscaper, residents gonna be kept in the loop right there, be on BCC, and you'll be on BCC. Everybody's kept in that piece of loop, and it goes on the project.
You know what?
Now, the
Yes.
only thing what we try to do, what we try and steer away from, is when we say liaison, we actually ask for a motion, what's the scope?
Yeah.
You know, what's the scope? Because we want to make sure that there's no one that, you don't have a resident or a board member, we don't want you taking that. I'm sorry, okay.
Don't be wild.
Rob, we don't want you. Where do you get those new palm trees? We don't want that illusion that, so we'll try and make sure that each board member is not directly working with the land, with the vendor, that board member, you're on pond, you're on landscape. You tell me, my building inspector, Jimmy, you gotta be honest. I'm not happy with this is what's going on, this is not for the contract.
Mhm.
It's all gonna be linked to the contract.
Right.
And we're gonna hold them accountable to the contract.
Mhm.
Now, if it says, if your previous contract said that they did dock stations, I'll just give you an example, some landscapers do the dock stations. And it says when they're on property. Well, right now, they're on property every week. In the fall, they're on property twice, So, we can't get upset with them when, hey, this dog station's full. Well, we know everybody on that street has 3 dogs and every home. Yeah, so that's where we have to come up with a fix and, if they say, hey, it's gonna be an extra charge, we bring it to the board. We're gonna be the intermediaries, we're gonna hold the public record, we're gonna hold files, so that way there's nobody ever accusing you of any priority against the district. Here's your file, here's the email. Here's the public record, here's the product board that everybody has. Some districts request the product board on the website, so every resident can read it.
Yeah.
Some things, a lot of them don't like that, they're like, well, hey, this is too much information.
Yeah, I mean, that's something to discuss, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, when you're keeping board members and, residents informed and communicating on a weekly basis like that, that you don't get inundated with, asks and, ask for updates and, why isn't this done kind of thing, because people are, actually informed.
Yeah,
Where things stand.
with the product board weekly, we don't normally get that ask. The residents of the colony, wow, they see the email that,
Right.
Jason was very firm with those landscaping, hey, you didn't do this,
Right.
or you this area again, it's on the map, don't touch it.
Right.
You need to have this resolved. We're not paying. We're holding payment, because now we can't just like hold it forever.
Yeah.
State Florida law, they have 30 days, right, they gotta fix it.
Right.
Now, they can't fix it within 30 days. We have the right to have someone come in and fix it, it's in the law.
So you can hold the payment.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
if you don't,
Alright.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you much of a presentation.
That's
I just wanted to do
what you said is all I care about. That makes our job easy. It's you doing what you're being hired to do, and that I appreciate. That's all I want, honestly.
And I'm sorry, there's somebody on the phone.
Well, I have a quick question, because I know one of the issues we had with GMS was over the amenity. And
It's not in our contract.
so do you guys do
You
amenity service, or
We-
I guess
we
the
have a
question
whole-
would be,
We have a whole division that does amenities.
so since you
shut
guys
the phone.
came last year, we added a significant security system to the property.
Okay.
So the access system, the security cameras and stuff like that, how much of that would you guys cover under your normal district services? And at what point would you basically say that needs an amenity contract and could you roughly give an idea of?
Full transparency, that would need an amendment contract. And it'd be a minor, we just don't.
Yeah.
It would be, I think we manage the cards, I'm just gonna give you an example, we manage the cards and cameras for another district, and it's $650 a month. But it's not enough, it's not enough.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's
Be
fine.
very
That's
transparent.
fine.
Well, no, that's what the question is, because it's not counting more, and we have that,
That's
so.
right in line with what we had approved for a budget. The scope includes, just what you just said, and that's, the handling of access passes. And the only other thing is, right now, Rabah and myself are the ones that volunteered, to take resident questions and concerns about misbehavior here. We review the cameras, we provide screenshots and timestamps of the issues, and then submit it to you and ask your people to do a more, a thorough review and document it formally for circulation as a violation report, which eventually leads to a violation hearing. If there's revocation of services and there's something more serious, so that, anyway, that's the gist of it.
Yeah, and any kind of violation, if we're suspending anybody's services, we always, and Chair, are you still there?
He is not.
Okay. Your district council will most likely agree with us that any letter that we're sending out,
Yeah.
we're gonna say that they have the right to confront the board at the next meeting. So we're gonna do an invite, so we're restricting something, they can come in and explain, oh, no, it wasn't Kevin, it was, you know.
Sure.
And we have to look at the video, you know. He actually looks at you. You know?
Yeah, we actually have, so every single valid access credential is got a photo of a person's license.
Okay.
And so everyone that comes in without jumping the fence, is then traced back to the moment they walked in and leading right up to the violation. So, anyway, that's for the future, but I just wanted to get some idea. That's the kind of service we have. We don't have on-site staff and I look for that sort of thing.
No, all right.
It's that kind of support, so, okay.
Last
Yes.
question I had, we're gonna be changing council, and then I didn't think of asking the other one, but have you guys ever worked with Appleton Reiss or Mason Yeager?
Mason Yeager?
Nason, Nason?
I'm not familiar with
That.
them, but that doesn't mean that we don't work with them. I'd have to make a call to, my VP and to see if they're familiar with, I'm not familiar with that firm. But I'm familiar with, I mean, you're who's up front right now, so there's KD Law Group, there's Straley Robbins Veriker, and you have Person Cohen and Mooney right down the street in Lakewood Ranch.
I'm not gonna lie, my experience tells me that I'm not so certain I want you to be super cozy with our attorney.
I'm not going to the future.
I'm just gonna say it out loud, so,
Oh, yeah, no.
I'd rather be the attorney.
Well, no, there's not gonna be any coziness with any vendor, because,
I want you to do your job, and them to do their job, and not, plan things behind our back to spring on us at board meetings,
okay, yeah, no, that is.
you know.
We didn't answer the other, well, the amendment Senate service. The other goes.
But it was 10,000.
Okay.
That's the reason I didn't think, this one didn't have it, so.
Yeah, on the camera side, yeah, that would be something extra, if you wanted us, but it sounds like you guys review the camera.
Yeah,
Everybody has.
Yeah, so letters, if we're sending out letters based on the work that you guys. put
yeah,
together.
because ultimately, the letter isn't to come from us, it's an attorney review, not necessarily attorney review. It's just a thorough documentation of, and I could give you examples of some ones we have. Because of the aggressiveness we've taken towards the amenity center, it's become, instead of being multiple violations per weekend, and that's when the activity occurs, late night or weekend, not during the day anyway. It used to be multiple per weekend, now we're looking at, maybe one in a month. Things have really, been successful, so.
Do other minutes of the
Yeah, 10 minutes are up, but if Ron, and again, you guys can feel free to continue to ask questions.
Ron, got
do you have
anything?
any questions?
No,
for-
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay.
Do you want me to call them back in, or do you have any other?
Do you wanna talk about ourselves a little bit?
If you'd like, yeah, you can do that. We're basically, again, public meeting, so obviously everybody's welcome, but if they would be willing to step out and then that way the board can discuss. And then we can invite them back in and if you're making a decision tonight, then you'd be able to do that. So,
Discuss about ourselves, and then we call you back down.
Okay, if you want me to get them in, do you have one more question for them?
No, we're good.
No,
You're good?
It's in the contract.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. All right, thank you. I'm grabbing. I'm grabbing. You'll grab them? No, I said I'll come grab. Oh, okay, all right, thanks.
All right. Since the other one, both of them seem to. I think both of them seem to hit a lot of the things that we want. I mean, the question is, obviously, Kai has that optic system, but I don't know if that's something we would even look at using as far as about the optic. Me personally, I have a problem with with big companies.
So you like the kind idea versus Infomart?
They kind of, I have to be honest. I mean, I don't know about you guys, did you possible one? Did you?
no, nobody reached out, or they reached out to GMS, I guess, to ask questions, or originally it's Ty, and then late this afternoon is when.
You didn't refer to anybody?
No, nobody reached out, actually, I had reached out earlier last week to see who had put in, and at that point, nobody had. So actually, I think within a day or two of the cutoff, Kai submitted it, and then obviously today, Infomark submitted it. So, obviously, yes, Kai is smaller. I will say last time around, Reiss was right there on the top of my list with GMS. But the question is with the issues we have, with the communication, with the wanting the status of stuff, tracking of stuff. I mean, both of them seem to offer up something good.
I mean, so when it comes to that, as I said, moving forward, we cannot just lay two people on the board. We need to make it clear that every month, or even, let's say we go with Kyle, every week we need to get every single board member needs to get detailed report stuff or not. That will be a big issue for them. And every month, it should be in every month. If we don't have a detailed report for the month too, like, hey, what happened with this, what happened with this, so I don't think it's gonna be a problem though.
Right, I like the idea of Friday, because if once they have it established, it's, yes, some of them are just no progress, nothing happened, whatever didn't happen, and then other ones have no, so it takes, it's something that people do at work. You're off being your supervisor or whatever, what's been going on all your projects at the end of the week.
But that can happen with both.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I agree. The only thing I concerned about a small company, on the one hand, I understand like, hey, these people would be hungry to actually do some good, good work or whatnot. On the other hand, I just wonder about getting stretched too thin. When all of a sudden they have too many people, they're not quite ready to hire more, expand, and so you end up getting, it's pretty, that's someone would say,
And kind of to your point, on one hand, Kai's a benefit because they're right down the street.
That's the other.
But how humongous is Metro supposed to be? There's supposed to be 3,000 properties. So.
Well, when you look at it the other way, there will be more business, they're gonna have more staff, of course.
Well, but the thing is they're talking about people already being out here. So more staff doesn't do any good if that person's not the one that's already out. So, is it gonna be one person servicing 3,000 properties and then them trying to come over here? Or is it gonna be 2 or 3 people, to which then, somebody coming over here to check something out or whatever is a plus for them? So, and then like you're saying, okay, what other properties do they take on and at what point did they hire? So, there are pluses and minuses. I just know they're gonna have a lot of amenities at Metro. And if it comes to fruition, they're gonna have over 3,000 homes. So, in the lagoon, they're already building. So some of the amenities are gonna be starting sooner than later.
That's completely a different project for them, I'm assuming.
No, well, that's their bread and butter, because Kai was started by one of the owners
Yeah.
of, they say, like the metro, that means.
Yeah, I don't know, it means, the thing is up to you guys. As long as we can have somebody I can talk with, I can be in a loop, I can put in the dark, I'm good. It doesn't matter.
So my other thought on the two of them was, neither one proper person will be working with, what I can tell. Right, Mark, he has all the right answers, but does the person who's gonna have running this thing, day to day, good enough to implement them and stay on track with what he says they do? And then on this side, Kai, to their credit, did say that the guy that we would have, I think, Andy Mendenhall, or was that?
They said Gary, so he's not, so the Brian on,
Andy's the DM, district manager.
the Brian, Killen, right above Andy, that's
Field guy.
he's the overseer over field.
Okay,
And then I think there was a person under him, and then Gary is under that, so Gary, the field services rep would be two below Brian.
so she said specifically that Andy Mendenhall would be the district manager, and that he is on point in her mind with communications.
Well, communication, project stuff,
Yeah.
but he's also their VP, so how things. Well, that Brian Killen is VP of operation, Andy Mendenhall is VP of district management. So he's the head over all the district managers. And then she's VP, she's on, the page before, so she's the overall vice president of the company itself. So, the question would be the cost. Last year I think we did have the questions of how thin would they be stretched with, with all the properties. And so, but I will say to your point, Kevin, last year, Mark was the only one that came as well. There was some reason why the support people weren't able to attend last year, as well, so.
What do you think, Ron?
Well, I like that everyone's saying that there's communication and the focus is on, I'll say job tracking, status tracking. So, I mean, for me, I think that would solve a lot of the issues we've come across. So I feel like that would be my focus in selecting someone is attentiveness and attention to the needs and getting back to us. I mean, I don't want to say everyone's the same because that's not the case, but I just want to make sure that what we're experiencing now is addressed with these vendors. And that if I feel comfortable enough, that they fit the need, that's kind of where I would like to put a vote to.
You said the cost was 5,000 different?
Over 3,000.
Kai didn't more expensive, but she said she like.
It's cheaper.
Yeah.
The other one didn't include,
And then this includes what, roughly 10,000 in
Yeah.
amenities, so that would be 102 for Infomark. And then obviously Kai said that they would match if somebody came in lower, but that's not the case. So, both of them are about the same in field service price, so.
what do you think?
Last year I was leery of Infomark. Part of it was because of the developer issues. That's no longer true. We still have the erosion issue, but I mean, I think we're gonna end up being stuck with that because of that settlement we got for the flooring. And that we're not gonna get anywhere with Coulter. So the developer aspect on both of them isn't a concern because we don't really have those issues anymore. Yes, Infomark talks a good game. I guess the question comes in is what system for tracking and recording are you gonna like that? Do you want the weekly stuff that we could turn around and potentially put on the website so everybody can access
That's
it?
probably the weekly thing.
Or do you want more modern?
So the weekly thing could be open to us as board members.
Well, originally it is.
Yeah.
And then
So,
if we wanted it like on the website, we could,
yeah,
but basically it would primarily be for us every week. And
Are they gone?
no, they're all-
They're still here.
Ask Ty if that would affect their price, if we wanted weekly, weekend updates on the variety, because she did explain that they had this sort of landscape issues tracking thing, but she wasn't sure if it could track all the issues.
That was through the optic.
That's an optic.
And the optic is
That's a
the
different
additional fee.
that's a different.
The optic is $49 a month.
It's not gonna be looking at. We don't need that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that's why I do, I mean, we don't get that aspect now where, we get pictures or updates.
And how much, let's say, I'm assuming it won't be a problem to them, even.
I mean, a shareable Google Doc or Google Excel, Excel spreadsheet can suffice for this. It doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles, but
Yeah,
I would specifically ask them if we wanted that sort of thing, if they would, because it's not, they didn't say it's doing it every Friday, everything. They didn't say that specifically.
I think they said basically monthly for the board meeting.
Yeah.
That we would get something for
Yeah, but-
accountability.
But again, we can always ask, like, hey, as a board members, can we get a weekly email?
Weekly, bi-weekly, whatever.
They didn't go pay more, how much?
But that's what we're
Yeah,
doing.
it doesn't really.
You're gonna put it on, you're gonna put trigger on it, I presume. So let's get it back and ask them, no?
Call that.
Yeah. And Graham, you had to come back in.
I'll ask Kai first, and then after that, answer if you want, if Mark come in or.
I mean, that's probably my question, that's the only thing that. Outstanding for me. Or, they had one.
Actually, we're gonna pull them into that question about, this kind of city, this is their perspective on the city. But only the one everybody knows, Appleton Reiss, that was the one that's on the call. The other one didn't show.
All right, go ahead.
All right, well, I know, one question, how, Kevin had, on frequency or something, but real quick, one of the things that we're also changing is our law firm.
Yeah.
And so we currently have had 2 proposals come in, one from Appleton Reiss and one from Nason Yeager.
Yep.
Have you guys?
I actually meant to mention this in because I was just texting with Andy. He's worked with Lindsay a lot, so he highly recommends her. He worked really well with her, thinks that she'd be a really good fit for your board.
Is that? Yeah. Nason, Appleton Reiss.
Appleton Reiss, yeah. So he's very familiar with them. The other one, he said he hasn't worked with, but
I'm wondering if, you don't happen to know if they're newer to you, because it seems nobody's heard of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
so we have worked with Appleton Reiss. Andy has a really good relationship with Lindsay over there, who I think is your proposed.
I didn't want to cover your topic, because I know.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was like,
Yeah, go ahead.
So my biggest question, as you know, I was talking about the keep track and upping, us, as board members so that we can report back to the community on the status of things. This doesn't have to have bells and whistles, okay? The spreadsheet where a thing is added, has a column for numbers, has a column for completed, in progress, whatever. You can sort and have a comments row where you can put where the current status of it in a given week. And that could be, something like that is very small lift in my opinion. And could be something that can be made shareable, so all supervisors' emails could go and check it out in case they have to report back to people. I would actually like to see something like that. It contains all the issues and is viewable and is updated weekly by week, whether it's no change or what the status is.
Yeah.
If it's, we can see, like, you updated every Friday, so every Monday, our board member could go and see what's been happening in the past week, even if we're not meeting for another 4 weeks.
Right.
That way we don't have to nag you for status updates.
Yeah.
As long as you fill out the update. Would something like that be something you could do, and if so, would that change your price?
No, so that's included, that's with the optic system, so that has that feature right now. Where you would, I don't know, I mean, if it's okay, I can pull up my computer really quick and show you the demo, because it does have like, so the way it's laid out, I'm trying to like create a picture in my head, but it just has like all the tasks in here. So let's just use the example, broken door, so the amenity center door is broken, the field manager can take a picture, or whoever the resident reports that can scan it in, gets uploaded, becomes an item that we need to handle. So it'll put the status like pending, contacted, then Gary can write in contacted vendor, scheduled completion date is Friday. Then when it's completed, mark it as complete, check it off, it goes into our archive, so, that's definitely doable. We actually have a few options, so that's the one that we're presenting to you. But something that we've used for our other teams is like, I find Excel to be so tedious and just like updating the Excel spreadsheet and then like how it shares. So we use this software called Airtable, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's like a cloud-based Excel. So it's just a hyperlink, you can click on the hyperlink, and again, live, if I make a change right now, you're gonna see the change was made. Same thing, you can set it up however you want, it's an Excel spreadsheet, but it's just on the cloud, it's a hyperlink, so it's a lot better. We can also put pictures in there, you can open it up, see the comments, like if we added comments, kind of with timestamps, and then completion dates, completed. You can sort the table by like completed, open, active, pending, board denied, board approved, whatever it is. So we can customize that for you.
And you can make it view only as well, so if it was something you wanted us to share with the residents, that they can go on and see, they would be able to have the same kind of visibility.
And so if I fire off the emails and say, hey, here's a picture, this is a tree or whatever, we add it to the.
Yeah, so we'd be like,
So,
cool,
so we can track it. Yeah.
We also have the ability, we do it with another district that, the board has requested to be able to upload an item, so that you would be able to just click, scan the QR code just to say, upload something if you didn't want to go through the process of emailing it or what have you. So that's also an option.
Yeah, so we'll kind of like basically customize it for you. So once we get started, kind of see what your task list is looking like, get you into the optic system, that'll be first, because it's gonna do the inspection for you, which is really like huge. And then we get a lot of video footage belongs to the district. We actually just had our council, so our district council for another property, draft a contract that is like council approved, so your new council could just review it. We already have like all that in place and set up for CDDs.
I have another question.
Sure.
Since you've got doing the metro there, no, you may have a point, but that, like, the community is really massive. Are we going to be sharing the same staff?
So yes and no, like we have a field manager, we keep our portfolio very small, so Gary only has like 4 projects, then you have Brian, who's like his manager, Adriana's like an extra, who is the community director over there, but with the software and doing the inspections, it really takes a lot of lift off of the manager, so, because they'll be able to track everything through there, so that's like a huge, like offset, so we'll do, so say we did the inspection this week, like Gary will be here next week, and then, so we always have eyes on the property, is how we like to set it up. So you don't have a lot of labs.
The optic system, so I know in here it talks about starting at $49 a month. So is that system already included in the price, or is it features of it that can be added on?
Yeah, so there's like some setup fees. I think what I would do is we could look at the program, because so Airtable's free, like that comes with us if we want to go that route, like project management tool. With this, it depends, and I don't know, actually, I apologize, but how many units are in here? How many homes?
390.
That's what I thought, 300. Okay, so the price is not gonna like break your budget, so that's something that we can look at, including with our management fee, and just kind of getting like together what it's gonna cost. There are like some setup fees that we could probably get waived, and then just have like a monthly inspection fee, which isn't crazy. And again, our goal is to make the landscape pay for that, so that wouldn't come from you, that's like, yeah, basically we write it into the RFP and have the landscaper do it, and they actually really like it because it makes it easier for their staff too, and then we're all on the same page, so.
All right, one of the landscapers I can talk to, do you know if they work with Infomark or?
I can ask them, but I know they have a couple of communities.
What
Not a lot of communities, we have a couple, but, I mean, I don't think it'll be a problem, we're really flexible, so it won't be an issue.
We work with tons of landscapers, we have several in this area, so we work with different, resident boards, we have 2 different developers that we work with who have their preferred kind of landscape companies, so we have no problem adapting to whoever you guys go with and just helping you make recommendations.
Yeah, so this is.
So, I mean, I can decide. I don't know if the rest of the board is ready to decide, and we have another meeting in 2 weeks. If you did, I mean,
I don't
you
think
good to
so.
go?
Yeah, there you go.
And Ron, you good to go?
You gotta remember,
I'm good.
they're gonna be, it's
Yeah.
gonna be the beginning of October that we change, so, you know, if we
Yeah.
turn around and wait another
This would
2
give
weeks.
time.
No,
We recommended today, yeah.
Yeah.
Transition.
And the 30-day transition's pretty solid, we can do them quicker, but 30 days, like, we've worked with GMS on transitions before, so we know what we're doing, we're good.
Yeah, we will work with them on, and either company that
Actually,
you
a
pick.
great company to
So-
work
And I would imagine, because it's the end of the fiscal year, that basically there's gonna be a little bit of delay and stuff anyway, because you guys would have to close it out and then make sure.
But we work on that with them in the back.
Yeah,
Like,
we
like
assign tasks, like the financials, who's doing the agenda this month, who's posting it, who has access to what, we're really good on doing bank, who's your bank, do you know?
Well, let me check.
But it's okay, but we have banking relations.
What? I think, no, I don't know who our bank is, but I know we had talked about going to that state.
Yeah, there's been discussion about the investments and things, so there's been a
We
few
also
things
have a
going
great
on.
treasury leader who will walk you through all of that. I mean, she can help you look and analyze your account, make sure you're getting the best rate.
We don't have access to the account, so it's one of those, we don't really need to know who the bank statement is. Although actually with what I do for work, maybe I do need to know the bank name to make sure I don't have. Yeah. Ron, you good? You ready to make
I'm
a
good.
decision today?
You want us to
I'm good.
start, Mark?
If you'd like.
Yeah, he's still out there. I mean, I don't wanna leave him wandering.
Okay, she's just gonna grab one. It's Thursday night football.
It's Thursday night football, yeah, so it was Truist, I didn't wanna say it without double checking, but yeah, it's Truist.
Truist, okay, so we work with them,
Yeah.
easy, good stuff.
I know I got back to the Lord. You should go to the next meeting. You should bring it back.
So what's for the metro, what's your, guesstimate of when that community is gonna be done? I know it's still early, because I think it's like 3,000 units, somewhere
Yeah,
in 3,000.
2,200. The lagoon's supposed to be ready in January of
I was
23.
gonna say that.
I don't
see
know,
that.
I think it might get us delayed a little bit, but I think we have a few years on that, so.
Alright. So thank both of you for coming, and responding. We know it's been a short period of time. An interesting evening so far for you, so. All right, do the motion. Yeah, go ahead. Which one we going with? Where you gotta go? What do you do there? I'm motion for Kyle.
A second.
So that's a first from William, second from Kevin for Kai. Is there any further discussion on that? If not,
No.
we're looking for a motion to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Hopefully, we're not doing this a third time. But, you know, thank you for coming and we will say, both of you, the project management, the keeping track of stuff, that's something that we were very interested in, and you both had a good setup for that, so, like I said, hopefully we're not looking again in anytime soon, so, but that system is one of the things that we're looking for, so.
Yeah, and I'll say, all you have to do is do what you said you were gonna do tonight.
Take good care of you.
You don't have to do anything unusual, just keep track of things and communicate with us, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, it's one of you guys right there.
Cause that annoys me every
Yeah,
meeting
it's
is
just
just
clear. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just wanted to-
Thank
So
you.
yeah, obviously, welcome to stay. We do have, next is the proposals for district council as well. So we can discuss that. They do have the proposals both in there. I think the board should review that. You can make a decision tonight. We did have, I don't believe Nason Yeager was on the line, but we did have Appleton Reiss, but again, they had to sign off. I did just reach out, letting them know that we're about to start discussing that, so if they're able to join, I'll let you know. But again, feel free to stay and you know, thank you.
Thank you guys for the contact.
Yeah,
Really
thank
appreciate
you.
it. I'll make sure to get you, my business card. We'll make sure we get Andy in touch with you right away. So you can start. Fine.
Oh, yeah, these are mine. I only had two of those, she had three, so I'm gonna leave them in the upper graph.
Where was the address you said you were familiar with?
Andy Reiss, Appleton Reiss.
Okay.
Yeah, so, Andy's worked a lot with them, and again, his recommendation was, he worked very well with them.
Pretty Infomark, GMS, and then they are aware of Appleton. They not, nobody really has much experience with the Mason, so I don't know if they're newer
Okay.
or.
Why? What would you do?
So you do have the proposals in the agenda in your iPad.
Yeah, it would be easy.
I don't know, since William undertook the effort to look into these, folks, I suggest he make a motion.
Did you check the proposal with?
Actually, I didn't look that much through each of the ones, other than obviously one's a lot prettier than the other. Me, I would be inclined to go with Appleton. More just because everybody's used to them, knows of them, and I think they're, both of them fees are kind of similar, other than, I think that the litigation fee may have been more for Mason, but, yeah, I mean, I'll make a motion for Yeager and, or excuse me, Appleton and.
So it's a motion for Appleton Reiss as the first one. Do we have a second?
I'd be happy to second. I have one question, actually, when I read this. Just, maybe this is, I think just, you know, lawyer, letter speak, but, when it said here, board of supervisors, and then the first paragraph, you know, thank you for your interest. To represent the Eagle Point Community District in connection with general matters and other issues that you may refer to us in writing from time to time. When I read that, I was like, I mean, what we refer to them in writing from time to time, is that just a thing? Like, are we hiring someone to do what we had before? Or someone that we can, you know, write to from time to time? And ask questions, you know, like that was the only thing in reading this, I was, you know. But if you're all comfortable that this is, just what they do, then I'm comfortable.
I don't mean to interject. I think I interpret that as like as needed, not like time to time. So they are very familiar with, they work with districts. I think
Yeah.
it would be the standard service that you come to expect from your council.
So if we wanted our meetings, we pay for our meetings. If we didn't, we find them off action items after a meeting, they handle it that way. You know, just kind of like what happens now, it's up to us to decide what level they want, and they provide the service.
Exactly, so you pay them by the hour, if you're like just joining for your half an hour, give your report, we have some questions for you, drop off, so you're not paying the bill.
That's amazing you mentioned that.
Yeah.
You need to pay attention to moving forward.
Yeah.
I mean, they cannot have the water that sits here for 5 hours. I'm gonna ask a question, I'm gonna get back to you later. And it doesn't work like.
We have several districts that don't
Yeah.
bring lawyers for that reason.
Okay, then I will second this,
Okay, so then just to repeat, that was a motion from William for Appleton Reiss as a first. Kevin was a second. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
So that is 4-0 passed. Okay. So we do have supervisor requests and audience comments. Before we get into that, I'll just say, you know, we do have the meeting September 18th. So if Kai's available, we do have it here, 6 o'clock, September, or 5 o'clock, sorry, it's usually 6, but we're doing these for 2 and 5. So 5 o'clock that they do intend on discussing the landscaper. And again, it's a special meeting. So if there's something specific that we need to discuss at that meeting, please let us know, and we can add that to the agenda specifically. Past that, the next scheduled meeting is October 2nd. Obviously, the contract ends October 5th, so that would be the last meeting for GMS. This would be essentially, Kai, how you want to handle this in the board. The board would want to maybe move that meeting so that that first meeting for the fiscal year is with Kai. Again, it's 30 days out, so it just kind of depends on them and you of what you would want to do.
Are you saying meaning whether or not?
Who conducts that meeting?
Within a couple of days.
Yeah.
Right, of the 60 day notice, whether I would wanna, call it at the next meeting when we're at least closer to, you guys I'm sure waste no time helping the transition down with.
Yeah, we've worked
We can
with
talk about
transition.
anything that comes
So
up.
again, I don't, I can't speak for Kai because I don't know what
Right.
their schedule is or if it's anything that they can anticipate or what anything like that. But again, it's just something, because we're rolling into the next fiscal year.
The thing is,
Above the next meeting.
well, the thing is the notice already gone out for next year's meetings?
I believe so, yeah.
So
We'd have to
basically,
check.
if we
Yeah.
change the meeting, we would have to re-announce.
You would have to re-advertise, yeah. It's not super expensive, but there's obviously a cost for it.
I mean, at the end of the day, the October meeting is gonna be basically goodbye for GMS and hello, hi, and that's it. So next
What he's
week,
saying, they wouldn't be here, if we decide to do that.
Well, if we change the meeting, or I guess we could come to an agreement.
Oh, so they will be
Whether
there?
you guys are willing to start that October
It's
second
3
meeting.
days, like, I think we'd be fine with that. I mean, obviously, I'll confirm with Andy's schedule. He's available for these meetings, so I don't see an issue with us taking the October 2nd one.
Yeah, sounds good.
It just makes things clean and easy.
yeah,
I think so.
So, and again, it's not that, we're obviously still working for the next month. We're gonna be transitioning and working with Kai on that. And so I only bring it up just because I know being on the other side, when we're coming into a new district, sometimes it depends on when it falls and how much involvement we want to be in that first meeting. So that's the only reason why I brought it up.
You reminiscing from a year ago when?
Yeah, we
I think
did
the
start-
First meeting was the first
first
week of
day.
August?
Yeah, first day budget. So,
I'm just,
all right.
yeah.
but we can talk about that. So that's really, again,
You want a motion for
I
that?
was gonna say,
we need a motion.
No.
I think it's
No.
just board direction is fine. It would only be a motion if we were moving the date.
alright,
So
so I have no supervisor request, I think that's where I had as well.
Same
we
here.
do have audience comments. So we do have a few folks on Zoom as well as a few people still in attendance. So we would want to open that up again, and then we can go into supervisor requests. So if there is any audience comments specific to the agenda, or sorry, not to the agenda, this is for anything that you'd like to discuss with the board, now would be opportunity.
2 comments.
Okay, just state your name and address for the record.
Mark, 8550 Appleton Reiss. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you for what you guys do. You are in a hell of a position, you damn if you do, you damn if you don't. Right, number 2. Do a little analogy, in chemistry, with reactants and products. You had the reactants in this room. Sometimes those things don't always work. You need an enzyme. Well, you had an enzyme. I can't really put my finger on what it is, but the product you got was poison. All right, and if it stays that way, this board is not gonna do a damn thing. You're right? So please, gentlemen, like I used to tell the kids, play nice. That's it. Yeah, you have to work together, okay? Whatever happened tonight, forget about it. Move on, please. We're all happy. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other audience comments? We just,
I really wasn't here from the beginning of the meeting.
sorry, just name and address for the record.
Scott, nice to meet you, 20 hours. I was not here from the beginning of the meeting, so obviously that's why I was I'm not here for, or not around for. Just know that, we've had a lot of residents, a lot of people say they've done investigations and done stuff. They're being fed information. I have yet to watch to prove it. So I don't want to hear any more of this from any of our residents. These guys need to have a job to do. They need to continue to do the job. Other people need to stay out of it and allow them to do the job. We can vote them out for not doing the job when the time comes. Until then, they need to be able to get up and do what they need to do every single day with not being bashed and told they're going to have lawsuits against them every other day.
Thank you. Audience comments, any other audience comments? No? Okay, we do have some on Zoom. Any audience comments on Zoom? Just use the raise your hand feature. We'll ask you to unmute. Give it another sec. Use the raise your hand feature. We'll ask you to unmute. Okay, not seeing a hand raised. So yeah, supervisor requests. Any supervisor requests at this time? Kevin, no? Rabah, no?
Now, I would just have something to make it clear again. If anybody in this board have anything to say during the meeting. And let's get things clear. We are here for the community, not for ourselves. Doesn't mean I will agree with you, disagree with you, or hate you, or hear that. Just make it clear. Say, here, I think you did so and so, and I'll give you my answer. I think it's simple as that. That's the point of having these meetings. That's like you say, it is business. It is business. You know, sometimes when it makes you personal, it won't be a problem. But I'm done there.
Okay, so with that, we don't have any other items. Again, the next meeting is September 18th, 2025. It's at 5 p.m. here at this location. That would be a special meeting. Right now, we just have about the landscaper in particular. And then the following meeting would be the October 2nd meeting, but we can discuss that a little bit more at the next meeting too, if need be. So we'll just be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So,
Okay, so I got William there first, second from Rabah. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion has passed. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you so much for the business report.
I'm going to.